Hey guys, and welcome back to the Path to Exile Podcast, episode 33, partner with Mobilytics. I am Cal Torak, and joining me per usual is Miso Shiro and Dead Rabbit. And if you're new here, we have our audio-only formats on Apple Music and Spotify. And if you do listen to us there, please give us a rating. It'll help us out a lot. This week, we have Dreadful on, the GOAT of Last Epoch. How's it going, man?
Going great. I spent 11 hours doing a run the other day because I was waiting for the PoE 1 League, and I didn't want to practice PoE 1, so I was like, screw it, I'll just do another run. Why not? So I did a whole run there, and I'm tired because of it, but it's fine.
Hell yeah.
Preparing for the PoE 1 League. Unfortunately, I'll probably only get to play it for like 2 weeks at most, but I'll enjoy it anyways.
Right, because the Last Epoch League is not far away? Is that why?
Yeah, on the 26th, yeah.
Cool. Cool. We'll be talking a little bit about both of those games a bit. Really quickly, you were actually featured by GGG at the beginning of this league for your Jhin build. First of all, let's talk about that build, how you came about making it, and like, first of all, how did it feel getting featured by GGG? I don't know if does Last Epoch do anything like that?
They do like a small little thing every month, but it's like nowhere near the same kind of like craziness as PoE does, anyways.
Well, how did it feel getting it?
It felt well, I kind of knew a little bit beforehand because I'm friends with someone who works at GGG, and he was like, "Hey, you have your character still?" I'm like, "No." It's like, "Oh, I'll just have to get someone to like yoink it." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, I get it now." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I get it now. I get it." It was really cool. The only problem I had with it is apparently I learned this after the drop because I was reading the comments on the video. Apparently, GG has a really bad habit of nerfing every single build they showcase on the thing. Apparently, I didn't know that. It's like the Reaper's coming, like the meme where he's like knocking on the doors. Apparently, it's come for me. But the weird thing is when they showcase the build, I didn't want them to, and it was kind of weird, mainly not because I don't want them to nerf it or anything like that, but because I just didn't think it was that good. It was just what I played as my league starter because I just wanted to have some fun, and I wanted fun with the new Ascendancy, and that specific version just wasn't that good because I was attempting to try some wacky stuff, and instead of like remake the entire build, I decided to just move on, and that moving on video ended up being the one that they featured, or at least that version. And I had this kind of like a little bit of guilt the whole time because I'm just like I don't want people to play this. Like, we got to make the better version. If you don't know what happened, I was playing the Fire Genie, and I was trying like Minion Ignite because one of Ruzan's abilities had like more Ignite effect and stuff like that. I was like, okay, because I was trying to solve the single target on the build. I was like, it doesn't have enough single target. It's not gonna impress people. So I really need to like figure out how to make it do more single target. So I was messing around with stuff, and that was the version that stuck for a bit. But I heard rumors, and I've seen other people play with the Sand version, and the Sand version had way more DPS in general. So I was planning on revisiting the build and playing the Sand one with the cold one, of course. And then what ended up happening is they showcased my build before I even got to like make a new update for it, and I was like, God damn it. And now it's like, it's really weird because if you go to the GGG video, okay, half the comments are, oh no, they're going to nerf this like they nerfed all the other builds. And the other half of the comments are like, this build's freaking garbage. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I didn't make it good enough. We were going to make it good. And then eventually, recently, I did a whole run with the Sand and Ice version, and that went like a lot better. But yeah, it was just like I just had this internal guilt the whole time. Like, why would they showcase that one? That one's the bad one.
Yeah, I had a similar moment when my build got featured in 0.1. It was a really bad Arctic Armor Poison Prolificate build. I think I played it for like 3 days. It was just a meme video where I was using Arctic Armor to one-shot enemies and spread poison to clear with it. And it was such a bad build, it could barely clear like tier 1 bosses, Waystone 15s. And then GGG featured it. I was like, no, this build, don't play it, people. But yeah, I had the same feeling when that happened with me. Both of our builds, me and Rabbit's builds, have both been nerfed from the game when our build of the weeks are no longer playable.
Well, I now figured out just now on this podcast episode. I've now figured out how my build got featured. Apparently, it was just bad. There's
Well,
there's a
the soda one, the
there's a red
grape
line
soda
here.
one wasn't bad. That one was
No.
like really strong. They nerfed the crap out of Scorching Ray a lot. Like that was really good.
Last
Like,
Lament Lich was really good, and it got
Yes.
it got slapped too. So
Obliterated. Yeah.
yeah,
That
my build
was
was
kind
bad,
of
though.
that was the Last Lament. The Last Lament Lich is probably like 99% the reason why the comments were so focused on that under your video,
oh
because
yeah,
that just recently
that was a
happened,
recent one. Oh yeah.
and it was something that stung very, very badly for a lot of people, including me. And that was such an illogical one, and something that is still like very weird to me. And that is the reason. I saw that and I was like, yo, guys, are we actually checking out the build, or is everyone just memeing about this being like next on the chopping block? No, it's still kind of funny because the meme does stay alive a little bit on them featuring a build and then nerfing it. So yeah, we'll see how
I think
that goes in the future.
Miso, I think Brat said it on the podcast once that they're intentionally showing like mid builds. Who said it? Was it Miso or a guest that said that they showed a few mid builds that weren't going to get nerfed just to try and shake that reputation of nerfing builds.
It wasn't me, but my build got nerfed and it only got highlighted and get featured. My Glacial Lance build.
Oh, the runner-up one, yeah.
To be honest, it was gonna get. I knew it was gonna get nerfed because it was using the what was it, voltaic mark chaining, which was way too
chaining.
OP. Yeah, which was way too OP for 0.2. So I knew it was gonna get nerfed, but I guess maybe they're not just nerfing it. But the other thing is, I feel like this league, or they've been doing kind of the builds, their highlighted builds, their featured builds a little bit dirty. I mean, with Dreadful, of course, like you mentioned earlier, your comments about it. But the build afterwards that they highlighted with the rolling magma build, the poison rolling magma build. My chat,
toxic basketballs, right?
Yeah, my chat, like they were like, my when I was looking at it with my chat, it's like, well, let's actually watch the actual build guide. And then theirs was way better. It looked way better. The clear was way better. And then for the showcase, they showcased like a tier 1 or tier 2 boss or something like that. And it just made it look really weak. And I was
it's really funny because they made mine look better by not showing any of the actual single target on an actual boss. So like they made his look worse, but they made mine look better even though it wasn't that good. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know.
I love you, GGG. Feature me again. Don't worry about it.
It was kind of funny when they did the Thor build that I did, because at the time it was really something. I was also very confused why they would even feature that, even though I was like super happy about it, because it was a setup that was so hard to achieve. Like I went just improving on the version that was there before and getting it to a point where it was then shown into the video was such a hard thing to do, because you needed like specific itemization that at the time was really hard to get. You needed like very specific items because you needed to hit the Giant's Blood requirement for Mjolnir, and then you also needed the pathway all the way to the top, so it was super, super weird. But at the same time, same thing, they showcased that build that I like spent so much time on and everything, and that was super, super powerful. They showed it on like a T0 stashed or something, and it was just obliterated. And then the comments pointed out like, yo, why are you showing this on a 1 million HP boss? Like, this build probably sucks. Why are you showcasing it like that?
They should probably do something about that in terms of like when like this is something I notice a lot. I talked to Palstron about this too as well. It's like if they're gonna have bosses with multiple tiers, they probably should do something to make it so it's very obvious what tier you're doing. Because I remember Cirrus and PoE 1 also had this issue where there, certain people were, trying to show off like a tier 1 Cirrus as like a tier 4, a tier 8 Cirrus or whatever.
Yeah,
I remember
Captain
that.
Lance told us about it. Captain Lance told us about that.
Yeah, and like there's stuff like that happening. So they might have to like do some stuff. Now, obviously, you can tell by the HP, but the thing is that kind of like stuff is meant towards people who don't understand the game, so they're not
Exactly.
going to look at that HP and realize that it's the wrong one. The only people that understand are like people who play a lot. So like it's not obvious knowledge how much HP a boss has at a specific tier and stuff like that. That's not like common knowledge. You have to actually either watch someone do it and explain it or do it yourself.
Yeah. I see it from their perspective. They're wanting to like almost surprise the creator when they do it. Because for me, I had no idea it was coming. Same with Rabbit. Like they just released the video and it was like a shock to both of us. I think like I love the build of the weeks. I think they're super cool despite how scuffed they can be. It's a really cool shout out to the creator. It would be cool if like I want them to happen more because like we randomly get them. Like sometimes they'll be like months without getting one. But two, I think it would be cool if they collaborated with the creator. Like if they would have reached out to you and been like, "Hey, Dredd, how do you want us to showcase your build? Like how do you want it featured?" And then you could be like, "Hold on, why don't you let me make some optimizations?" Or like you just said, it wasn't a bosser. Maybe you could have like showcased the bosses differently or something. So yeah, it would be cool if they collaborated.
I'm fine with how they showcase them in general. Like, I think that collaborating with them would kind of ruin a little bit of the charm per se.
Yeah,
like,
it was really cool not knowing.
yeah, I like the idea that they're just like, this is something we saw and we thought was cool. And for my build, it was specifically, well, he's playing like. There's a lot of funny
Jin
comments.
build.
They're like, "Oh, look, this is the only guy that's playing how we wanted you guys to play," instead of like all of the people playing the Plant Druid stuff. And I'm like, "No, guys, I just played the Jin because I thought it was cool and I like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it's like having a stand. It's cool, it's great. It's like, ooh." It's funny. I have a lot of. I have a little bit of a history with that build, mainly because what ended up happening was I was watching the game awards, the reveal, right?
Condolences.
Yeah, I was watching it with my wife because we like watching stuff like that for fun. We were watching someone else watch it, right? And we saw like what ended up happening was I think it was like Jeff Keighley was like announcing and all that, and then like some of the stupid Miss Piggy stuff came on, and she was like, we were like eye rolling, like this is so dumb and all that. And then I get a notification from Discord. It's like, "Hey, look at this," and it's like a whole fucking ascendancy dropped, and I'm like, "Oh wow, hey, look, a convenient reason to not watch the Game Awards right now." I'm like, "Oh my god, this looks so cool!" It was like at the same time, it was like the best possible moment to drop it. It was just like, get me out of that.
Who were you trio? Rabbit was trio streaming it with somebody, and like I watched it for
Farmer.
like 30 minutes and I
Farmer.
had to bail. Oh, yeah, it was you and Farmer. Yeah, I could not watch it at all. I tried it. The Game Awards.
No,
was
Farmer
rough.
dipped out as well after like 45 minutes.
I know.
It's okay. High Guard dipped out as well.
That is crazy. Yeah.
All seven.
The Concordian level failure.
People
unfortunately.
are gonna be very scared to have the last spot at the Game Awards now, and Jeff Keighley being like, "This is gonna be the second coming of Jesus Christ. This is gonna be the best thing of all time. Everything is gonna be fine after this game releases." And then it's like, yeah, it's dead. It's dead 4 weeks later.
All right, before we go too off topic, so what else did you guys want to talk about?
How'd you avoid Fate of the Vow?
How'd you enjoy Fate of the Vow? Well, simply put, I spent the first week trying to do the mechanic and not really enjoying it. So what ended up happening was I just farmed Rakiatis Flow the entire time while everyone else was making their temples. Like, sure, yeah, you guys are making all your divines in the temples and stuff, but my Rakiatis Flow is like going up in price, man. It's like it's going up in price as long as you guys are like keep farming, making divines. Like it'll go up in price too. Like this is how it works. That's how you make money in a busted ass league like that. You farm things that they can't farm, right? You farm the stuff that they can't do because they're too busy farming the temple, right? And the main reason I skipped the temple in general is because I know that it was going to get change slash nerf slash whatever, like it's going to get reworked and added into the game essentially next league. Like it's not going to come into the game in the way that it's at. And I don't want to learn the mechanic in its current state because I know that it's going to change like a bajillion times before it comes into the game again. And lo and behold, it has changed how many times now? It's changed a lot, hasn't it, since it got released? It's changed a lot. Because I was like watching Milky like talk about it, and there was like this change, that change, this change. They changed the tempo a lot, didn't they?
Yeah, a lot of nerfs. And I wouldn't be surprised when it goes core, if it goes core in 0.5, which we all assume it will, if it's like completely reskinned, like it is functioning very differently. The one's actually brought that point up. I have not spent any time in Temple, really. I did a little bit of Zeri farming, and I've been doing what you've been doing, just farming everything but Temple. But I've never heard anyone say that point. That's like, yeah, it's not really worth learning right now because who knows if that information is going to be important later.
Because also part of it too is one of the ways that I avoid burnout in video games in general is I try to avoid chasing trends like that, because I found that chasing the trends like that are the ways of getting burnt out, because what's going to happen is you're going to have people who are farming this like very large amounts of divines in the temple, and they're going to go to the next league and they're like, wow, this league's shit, because it's nowhere near as crazy. And this has happened so many times because I've been playing PoE since 3.0. This kind of situation has happened time and time and time again, where we get a league where something's broken to the absolute extreme, where there's so much dropping, like in Affliction, a very recent memory, right? Where essentially it makes the next league always suck in comparison. And because I usually avoid that on purpose, I just try to go out of my way not to do that. I end up not burning out from the game because I want to continue playing the game. I don't want to just get burnt out, especially you guys know, making content, you got to be consistent too. You can't just like if you want to make content and do it well and do it consistently, you can't just be like, oh, I'm not going to cover this league. That's not how that works.
Good points.
Yeah.
Thoughts, guys?
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to temple stuff, and also I'd say playing things that are gonna get nerfed, I do see some merit of trying it out and playing it and figuring things out, because I feel like when they do changes, it's usually not a complete ground up rehaul. It's oh, maybe it'll change 20%, 30%, 40%, something they change the part that makes it OP, and then the other 70%, 60% or whatever still becomes relevant. And I don't know. That's because that's what I basically did with Abyss, because Abyss is probably going to get changed a little bit in the the Omen of Light farming and stuff like that. I fully expect that to get nerfed and changed, but then I fully explored other things bone farm and doing things with expedition and just trying to explore everything about it. So I'm fully expecting Omen of Light changes next league, but at least I'll be okay, well, now this has changed to be not as strong, but now we have the second tier one that's going to be rising up to the top, and then now I know how to do that, or learning all the ins and outs of what they're doing with the league, so we can figure out hey, if we get this nerf, how can we pivot next league if we still want to do the farm. That's
actually what I ended up doing this whole league was Abyss farming as well. I was learning Abyss because I wasn't around for Abyss League, so I was able to just learn Abyss while everyone else was in the temple. Because the way I view it is I was so I cover a lot of ARPGs, and I personally don't like covering something if I don't have an understanding of what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna play I don't know a D2 mod, right? PD2, which I have no idea about, and I'm gonna make a video about it day one and be this is what I'm doing, this is the best build or whatever. I'm not gonna do any of that because that's not. I don't like talking about things when I don't know about the thing, right? And because of that, I end up having to spend a very large amount of time learning the game I'm playing, right? Because I can't make content until I learn about the game, and I spent a very long time away from PoE due to problems with all the scheduling and stuff. So most of the whole time I was playing PoE 2 this season was just me relearning the game in full, so that like next time the game next season I can actually make content, more content, because I didn't actually make that much PoE 2 content this league. I could have made significantly more, but like I said, I held back because I didn't want to like make a bunch of uninformed content, because that's not what I like doing.
Yep, I agree. It's the same thing for me. That's why I don't really make that much PoE 1 content, even though, I play it. I played it last league, played it Mercenaries, played it since beta, but wasn't really doing content back then. So I don't feel like I have enough knowledge about it, and that's kind of what I spent like last league doing, just like trying to learn as much as I can. So this league, I could try to make some content at least.
Yeah, I feel the same. So the reason why I only do build content, I just do cover whatever I just played. You don't see Sanctum guides, you don't see Ultimatum guides, because I don't have those mastered. I don't put as much thought into them as it's very important for these kind of games too, when information is almost the premium like thing to have. You can't be spreading misinformation is just bad.
Oh yeah, trust me, I know that feeling. I remember when I was first making content, and I didn't know what I was doing at the time. Let's be real. I was covering some PoE 1 stuff, and I was talking about some leveling for Duelist, and I made like one little mistake in the video. Is like just like a small thing. I can't remember exactly. And I was watching Jungron live on stream, and he pulled up my video, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna watch this." I'm like, "No, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is wrong. This is wrong." I'm like, "Oh my god!" And it's like that moment right there is the moment you realize you're like, "Oh wow, I need to like actually take this way more seriously."
It's funny because the other night I was doing the ancient bone testing and farming, and the whole reason why that farm series started and like the testing started was because somebody in my comments was saying, like, this was in a previous video. They're like, "Hey, have you tried farming ancient bones? I've heard that gold find would it boost the amount of ancient bones that you get." And I'm like, that does not sound right. But then like multiple people have come and asked me and like, "Hey, have you tried boosting up gold to get more ancient bones?" I'm like, there's no way this works. There's no way this works. And they're like, "I don't know. I heard that it does. There's somebody was saying that it works." I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to put this to the test to actually figure out if that actually works, because who knows? There might be some weird coding in the game to make it work, even though like it should work in the opposite way because of what we know about local knowledge. Eating up basic currency with gold. I'm just going to test this. So I started testing out. I'm like, yeah, it is not good. It actually does the opposite of what it says it does. And then while we were testing, some guy, like, I'm not going to call his name, and nothing against you, all right? But some guy came into the chat and was like, "Oh, hey, I've been doing a lot of testing on this. What's been your verdict for gold?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it actually works. I think it's actually the opposite." He's like, "Oh yeah, I tested it as well, and I came to that same conclusion." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense now." And then I'm like, "Yeah, that's weird. Some guy like was saying." I think there was some guy saying that gold actually worked, so I really want to test it out, and it was the opposite. He's like, "Oh yeah, that might have been me." And then in that moment, I was like, I'm going to hold back from chewing this guy out, because that is bad data is worse than no data. This information spreading is real bad, sir, because that's what happens when even you think that maybe it's like, oh, it won't be that big of a deal or whatever, but some people end up finding it, and then it starts spreading these rumors, and I was like, in that moment, I was like, I'm gonna hold back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold back.
I very go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. You're good.
Just very specifically, like when I'm streaming, like I'll almost always ask chat, just like here's an example. Against the Darkness, I'm pretty sure it always drops off of Zarok if you're doing Desperate Alliance. That's the only way you get it. I'm pretty sure. Like I'll never definitively say anything, just in case. Even stuff I'm confident about, because I know it only drops for him. But like even for like something like that, sometimes I'm a little like I'll never say anything confidently about how drops work in this game, because It's so complicated, like unless you actually study it, like. But yeah, that's what I do. Is I preface like I try and be as I never say anything for fact unless I absolutely know.
Yeah, that's actually funny because this kind of conversation came up recently. Because I was like watching some people on YouTube that I like watching for PoE1 stuff, and they're specifically calling someone else out for specifically like clickbaiting a little bit, and it was around the new skill, the Holy Slam skill that does like the circle AOE's and expands. And apparently the misunderstanding was like, oh well, increase area, it might quote unquote increase overlaps, but it also increases the range at which the hammers fall. So it doesn't actually increase overlaps because if you know PoE1, there's a lot of skills that do that. Like Firestorm is a good example, like Firestorm pelting. And the reason why it's funny is because like it just brought up in my mind. I'm like, well, isn't this kind of like part of the game's fault? Because if there's like something that literally is like, hey, if you increase the area of this skill, it will increase the area at which they fall and increase the area at which individual AoEs will happen. Shouldn't that be on the gem? Because like a lot of these misunderstandings happen because the game is cryptic about it. You know, like look at like, I don't know, go to the Path of Exile 1 wiki and type in nearby. You're gonna find 200 different versions of nearby. Which nearby is it? Right. And I think because the games are so complicated, this kind of stuff just is just bound to happen no matter what you do. And sometimes it's just like I wish specific like they've done a really good job with that, by the way, for PoE2. That's actually one thing I can really like love about PoE2 is the fact that most of the time when there's a tooltip and I don't know what it is, I can click on it. Up until this recent time, this whole time I've been playing, it's been fine up until one specific moment when I wanted to look up what dual wielding did, and I couldn't click on the dual wielding thing, and I couldn't figure out what it did in PoE2 versus PoE1 because, you know, like obviously they're going to do different things. And that was the first time, I think, the whole time since I've been playing PoE2 that I've had an interaction with the game where I couldn't just look up the information in the game, which is crazy, by the way, coming from PoE1. Mind you, like that's crazy.
Yeah, we got a comment a week ago that was, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Like one of the things that people have like holes in it, it's mainly with the drops. Like someone left a comment last week or the week before saying that they didn't know lineage support gems drop, the good ones drop from specifically these citadels. He just thought they could drop anywhere on the world. And he was just farming. Like with certain loot drops, if you were to like be able to look it through Ainge and like if you moused over to Garukins, it had where it dropped from, specifically this boss or something. That's where I feel like the telegraph in PoE is a little bit confusing, but outside of that, I agree. Like the tooltips are very good.
Yeah, it really helps you just like actually not need to constantly tab out every 5 seconds. So which is great. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yes.
You haven't talked in a while. I was trying to.
Okay. No, I think like overall, when it comes to whether it is endgame stuff, whether it is new player onboarding, it doesn't really matter to me. There needs to be, I think there can always be more. But at the same time, I do think that that is definitely something that will improve over the time in PoE2, especially since a lot of the stuff that we have, I wouldn't call it like bare bones. This game is like, especially for an early access game, and especially comparing it to other early access games or other games that are in like a beta state or whatever, this is incredibly incredibly far advanced. But I still think that is definitely still something that is going to become more and more and more. And right now, this is still like an informations game a lot that is reliant on like third party whatever PoE2 database or whatever there may be, PoE wiki or whatever. And but especially for newer players, and as the game becomes more bloated in the future, it is going to be very important to have that information on the surface level rather than having it on PoE2 database or something. There's still always going to be a knowledge game. That's always going to be the case in any RPG. But I think especially for new players and especially for more casually focused players or whatever, and just for the game's health overall, it's just there needs to be clear and clear-cut information. And then at the same time, there's cool stuff to find that you didn't know about, and that will always be the case, I think.
I just generally hope when it comes to like loot and stuff, I don't think there needs to be stuff about that. I think it's cool that like you don't know unless you either look it up or you're just like, oh wow. Like a good example, I actually had this happen where the jewel that drops when you kill a rogue exile influenced by an abyss, I didn't know it dropped from that. And I was like, oh cool, that's where that came from. I like stuff like that.
Yep.
That I want that to be in the game. I love that. I just mean like specifically when the game brings up a line of text, it's like, hey, you have Arcane Surge. And I'm like, if I can't click on that and be like, okay, what is Arcane Surge? Or I can't like open a game guide and look up Arcane Surge, and there's just no way of looking it up. I'm just like, what is it? That's the moment you click out of the game and then look it up online. And it's definitely have completely avoided a lot of that by actually adding everything. Because like, I hope that they keep doing that. I actually agree with someone in chat. He said the info, looking up info for Virash's skills is awful. I agree. That's actually something I can criticize. Holy crud, the UI for the genies sucks. It sucks so much. You open up your skill menu when you have multiple skills, they're all sharing the same skill link. Because of that, they're all like in this little drop down and stuff, and like it's so annoying. Like that is by far the worst part of like the Virasha stuff is if you don't know, if you haven't played Virasha, people in chat and you guys, essentially, when you have a genie, you have a minion, right? And it gives you like a 6 link for that or whatever eventually after like level 90. Now, the skill gems are used across the board globally across all the skills. So if you grab 2 different skills for Rujan, right? If you use those support gems, they will share across both of his skills. You can't individually choose which supports go on which skills. You have to blanket put on skill support gems on each of his, on his skills globally. So like for instance, some abilities for Rujan is a melee attack and some abilities is a spell. So it's like if you're trying to incorporate both of those things at the same time in your build, because like let's be real, you're playing this, you're trying to like throw everything at the wall. You can't do that because they share all the gems. Like for instance, specifically with what's her name? The cold one. She has a bubble AoE that could be like supported with like utility supports and stuff like that. But she also has a damage ability, and you can't support both at the same time, right? So it's
That's
like
crazy.
yeah, it's really like seriously, like literally load it up, try it real quick, look where all the skills go. It's not only obnoxious in the skill window, it's also obnoxious to play with. It's really annoying. Like that is by far the worst part about all that. Like the way that they chose that, like I want to talk to the guy that chose to set up the UI like that. Like, come on, like we gotta talk here. Like,
Yeah,
seem
I
very
haven't
threatening.
played Jin build yet. If I had, I would have ranted about it every week since then, because that sounds awful.
Yeah.
he's like, if I had, I've been a filthy minion player. I know, right?
That sounds like a huge oversight in my opinion. That doesn't
I
sound
agree.
intentional.
The moment I saw it, like I was boiling with blood in my veins. I was like, what is this nonsense?
Rewind it 60 seconds. Look at my face as you're explaining it. I was angry and annoyed listening. Like I was confused. Like that doesn't make sense why it would be set up that way. Yeah, that's very odd. That is so weird.
I think it's really important that they get like the base, like the explanation of like the basic concepts of things very like easily accessible to players. It's always like a tightrope act when you're talking about like how much information to give the players, because some stuff is like, oh, this is like the magic of discovery and this is like part of the fun, but then sometimes it's like, yeah, you should have told us that. It's like literally the basis for the game, and like if you're not clear about it or if you're not telling us about it, then how am I supposed to use this to build off into other things?
Yeah, I think it's way more important for an ascendancy, because if you're like a new player, you go and finally get through the ascendancy place and you choose your ascendancy and you realize it's completely different than what you assumed it was going to be. It sucks because like, oh yeah, what are you going to do? Waste a bunch of gold already like early on? Like that sucks. Just like,
Mhm.
But yeah, I hope that they fix that because that was obnoxious.
Yeah.
I'll hold off on playing Jin until that changes.
Another good one is like poison, because poison is still a very, very annoying concept to go into, because it's like you have to think about poison in phases, because even though poison is a chaos damage type, if you're not using chaos damage to spread
Yeah.
to create the poison, you can't actually scale chaos damage to buff the poison. It's like such a weird
That's
thing,
very
and
confusing.
I don't know why they still have it this way. It's like, yeah,
I see that a lot with new players, the poison confusion with the
Yes.
chaos scaling. That is a very
Yeah.
common misconception.
that's why
One of
to
the
this day
one
that
of the
video is
most
like my number one most
Yeah,
viewed video.
it's important. I remember
one
watching
of
that
the
and being like,
most common
"What?"
questions. Yeah,
Well,
super
because in
common
like
question whenever I play chaos build. Yeah, so
because in like PoE 1, the whole reason they did it the way in PoE 2 was to avoid the confusion in PoE 1. So that's really funny that even though they tried really hard to avoid all of the confusion of how conversions work in PoE 1, they still ended up confusing people with the PoE 2 conversions.
There's some conversions that just straight up don't work. Like, yeah, there's a lot of them that are really funky. Um,
Yeah, I agree with the armor one too. I think the armor they definitely could like fix that one a bit. And we have the same problem with PoE 1. I think this is like so this is a situation that speaking about armor and all that, this is a problem I had with a different ARPG. It was it's just Hero Siege. I'm just gonna bring it up. So in Hero Siege, you have attack rating, which is like essentially like accuracy from PoE 1 or whatever, right? Or PoE 2. But the problem with it is you could stack it and try to see if you hit stuff, but it doesn't tell you the percentage of your chance to hit. So you're stacking accuracy, but it doesn't tell you your percent chance to hit. All that shows up is like a little X that like shows up like if you miss, and it's really hard to see under all the other effects, right? So like like it's an ARPG, right? It's like, oh, just look at the X, see if you're missing. I'm like, what? Well, what if I'm attacking 100 times a second or whatever? Like, how am I supposed to see the X, and how many times am I supposed to know the X? It's like, oh, I don't know. It was like, well, then why is it like this? Why can't I see my percent chance? And armor's the same way, where it's just like, why can't I see my actual percent chance to mitigate damage? Why is this all like in the back end? Why do I have to like go to Path of Building, put it all in, and be like, okay, here's how much physical damage reduction you have? Well, it's because it's variable, but maybe like I don't know. I think the current like what do you call it? The current explanation of armor in the game when you click on it isn't detailed enough. I wish there was like a way where you could like open up another tab where it has the actual calculation for armor there, and it just shows you like, hey, if like this is how much damage you mitigate if you take like a 10k hit. Now obviously that would add bloat to the UI, but I feel like armor being like one of the main defense types, like ES doesn't have this problem. ES is like, I have big number, I good. Like ES doesn't have this problem at all.
It is a common misconception. Like I do armor builds a lot, and it is like we talked about this on the podcast too before. A lot of people think, and what he's referring to, chat, or like people watching on YouTube and stuff, is with armor. A lot of people think you hit 90% PDR, and then I'm done. We're good. We hit 90% PDR, and that means we are capped on armor. We don't need to invest anymore. You hit 90% PDR at about 10,000 armor, and that is absolutely fucking nothing. That does nothing for physical damage reduction. That does nothing for any hits. You need closer to 60 to 100,000 armor. But the game doesn't tell you that because people see you hit this 90% PDR cap, and then it doesn't telegraph you anywhere else that getting more armor is effective anywhere. It is very common misconception. That's like, I'm at 8,000 armor. I'm capped. Why am I getting one shot? I don't understand it. But they have to change something with that for sure.
I mean, it's like what I said earlier. Bad data is worse than no data, right? I'd rather them
That's
not
bad
give.
data.
I'd rather them not give the percentage and just give the flat number over giving the percentage at that point, because
Agreed.
you're just being misleading. It's like, oh, I have 90% PDR. That means 90%. I'm reducing the physical damage by 90% all the time. Nope, that's not really the case.
Not even close. Agreed. Did you two want to talk about Last Epoch real quick?
If you want to, sure, we can talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure,
the
why
reason
not?
why I brought it up to begin with was because the other day I watched the trailer for the new league for Last Epoch, and I was like, wow, this actually looks really, really good. And I know there was a bit of controversy a while back when they kind of exchanged hands with a new company, and then like, going back on like the pay for content and stuff like that. So I personally had written off Last Epoch. I'm like, all right, this game is done. So and to be clear, I never really enjoyed Last Epoch all that much. I thought that it's cool. I really like the systems in the game. They have some really good systems, but in terms of actually playing the game, I feel like it feels very arcadey to me, which I don't like as much in my ARPGs. Why I don't really like Torchlight as much either, even though I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on in Torchlight as well. But yeah, the whole situation there made me like, oh, I don't know if I would play Last Epoch anymore. But then I saw the trailer and I was like, wait a second, this looks really interesting. They have some new stuff that kind of looks like Breach, and there's some new skills that looked really cool. I'm like, oh, this might be worth checking out a little bit later.
I have a very interesting relationship with Last Epoch these days, especially when I talk to people that aren't like caught up with the Last Epoch news and space and all that. Mainly because there's this really weird dichotomy where inside the inside the community, I'm known for being the quote unquote complainer, that kind of archetype, right? Well, outside of the community, I'm known as the shill. And it's just weird living that double life where I'm just simply being middle of the road and being like, hey, like there are problems with this game, but I'm going to enjoy it and play it anyways. That's seen as negative and shilling at the same time, which is just mind blowing to me personally. But yeah, like so for the trailer and
Sounds
like all the
sounds
go ahead, I'm sorry.
familiar.
Yep.
Sounds
No,
familiar.
it's
Yeah.
sorry.
Super
It
familiar.
sounds very familiar when
I
you're
think
saying it
everyone feels this
for
way.
some
I
reason.
think
Mhm.
I don't
yeah,
know.
sometimes.
Whenever you give feedback or critique to a game, it's always going to be like that. Like people are always going to, depending on what they see or what they want to see, they're going to see you in a
yes.
certain light. It's the same way for me back in Lost Ark. I think I haven't had as much of it in Path of Exile for some reason, but
Well, it's
it
because it's
definitely
the
has
honeymoon
moments.
phase. It's the honeymoon phase still. I think like recently with like all the drama with like the like all of the Tencent acquisition, then of course after that the God, like all the craft and stuff, like all that stuff, it kind of removed people from that honeymoon phase that they were in and made them realize that just like every other business, they're a business in the end that makes money. They're a company, right? And I think that like the PoE 2 people haven't really experienced that yet. That is just really like something that happens eventually. Like there's this like when it comes like an early access game or like a game in Kickstarter, it's like, oh wow, they're gonna do all this, all that, all this, and then eventually the hammer falls down. And it's like, okay, we need to make money, otherwise our company's not gonna do well or whatever, right? And that's like a lot of video games. Like for instance, what's that name? Darkhaven recently is in that situation where everyone's in the honeymoon phase. Like, wow, they're gonna do so much. They got people from Diablo 2. Like, they're promising all these kind of cool things. They have a Kickstarter going, and it's the same exact situation that Last Epoch was in years ago. And I think that's the issue with like over uh being overtly passionate towards something. Like I think that like there's nothing wrong with being passionate about your favorite game, but if you're so passionate about it to the point where you can't even see the faults, to give you an idea, right? One of the bigger criticisms for Last Epoch right now, and you guys are getting it too with PoE 2, is there's not enough endgame. I have plenty of things to do with my characters, but I don't have anything to do with my characters with. Why can't it be like fancy PoE 1 where I have everything already? And I mentioned this not only 1 year ago, not only 2 years ago, when 1.0 launched, literally about a month before 1.0 launch, I made a video talking about like, hey, these are some things that I think are wrong with the game and why I don't think it's ready for 1.0. And I was absolutely crucified for my take that I said that there wasn't enough endgame to merit going to 1.0. And lo and behold, we're 2 years down the line, and the main complaint now is that there's not enough endgame. And I'm like, guys, like, we've been talking about this forever. It's just, you've been like, literally being like, la-di-da-di-da, nothing's happening, la-di-da-di-da. And I'm like, we've been talking about this forever. And thankfully, at least it seems like GGG is going to fix that problem, at least. It seems like they're willing to fix it.
People are so short-sighted. I totally get it. There's so many times when I talked about a certain issue, the moment I saw like inklings of it, but then people are so busy in their honeymoon phase, they can't see past the surface of like what they're, initially just like, oh my God, this looks really amazing. And they can't see like, oh, but this could come with implications later on down the line. And then they just call you a hater. And then later down the line, you sit there and like, who told you so? But at that point, nobody even remembers what you said back then.
Yeah, it's an interesting experience for sure. I think the game's gonna do fine. I think the thing is like, it's just gonna be like every other company where they're going to make bad decisions and they're gonna make good decisions. Like, we can't really be like nice about GGG either. Sometimes, like, they do make some interesting decisions. Like, we had all the battle pass stuff for PoE 1, or like, this is a personal gripe with PoE 2 personally. So I have to like do a little bit of backstory for this. I like the current crafting system for PoE 2 in the way that, like, you drop a base, you put it in your inventory, and you craft on it later. The problem is, because of how many items you go through to get to that, instead of alt rolling, you pick up bases and you put it in your stash. The problem is, because of that, it incentivizes you to have what? Quad stash tabs, which is, of course, in a way, pay to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, that's a small little issue I have, and it's that same kind of thing where it's like, yeah, it's a cool game company, and I love GGG. I've been playing since 3.0, but I'm going to call out the dumb shit, and that's dumb.
I started farming bases this patch. Like, literally this patch, I started farming bases because of Prado's filter, and I've bought 6 quad tabs. That's why I was laughing just now, because I started farming bases, I bought 6 more quad tabs. So you are spot on with that one.
Can't
Yeah,
you
like,
just
well-
do it every time though? Can't you just drop the base,
well,
do the perfect
I don't like
trans,
doing
perfect
that.
orc,
No,
and
that slows
see?
that slows down my flow too
That
much.
slows
I
the
just wanna
grind down,
blast.
man.
Yeah, I just want
I
to
can
blast.
pay
Yeah.
money to deal with it later. I'm gonna do that. Like,
Exactly. No.
like,
Yes. Exactly.
you could say the same thing, like, recently with Necropolis, right? Necropolis had the corpses on the ground, like the coffins, and that was another situation where having quad stash tabs mean you were making way more currency per hour, because you could click on the coffins and not constantly have to deal with your inventory. It's effectively like paying for extra inventory slots, but in like a not direct way. And like, well, yeah, you could go out of your way to, like, stop and pick up the item and then do it, but are you going to do that in the middle of a map? Well, I guess you can now, because pausing
But Rabbit
exists.
does.
Yeah. I guess you can now, but like, your average person's just gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna put in a dump tab, dude.
well,
That's what
I
I
think
do. I
it's
don't.
also very important to point this out, because I also had this conversation with my chat as well about like negative rarity farming
Yeah.
and stash tabs. Because we were talking about like, oh, it makes sense that they monetize the game with stash tabs. It's like really only like a one-time buy afterwards. You don't really need that many. Like, honestly, for the most part, I only really need, if you're buying it on like the sale day, you only really need like $30 worth of stash tab to kind of like get by for the most part, except if you're negative rarity farming. And I mean, to be honest, I've always called Path of Exile 2 a pay to win game in that aspect, because it really feels like at some point you need to buy stash tabs to really, stay competitive. And also, like, you need a merchant's tab to stay competitive in trade, 100%. So I've always called it a pay to win game in that aspect, but I've always said that it wasn't a bad form pay to win because the company needs to make money, and they're not like to me it feels like a box price for a game. It's like, hey, you've enjoyed this game for this long, hey, give us a little bit of money, but you don't need to give us any more after this amount. So yeah, but the thing is with the stash tab, the stash tab, I always say like this is definitely potentially pushing to a point where the pay to win isn't as healthy anymore, because it's a clear huge advantage if you have a stash like a bunch of these stash tabs versus not having it for negative rarity farming. You're farming so much faster. And so
I'm sorry, I read a comment in the Twitch chat. Define pay to win in a non-PvP
oh my god
game.
This is a
you don't think
that gets me heated.
You don't think an economy is a PvP zone? Have you ever been to like Wall Street? Have you seen like how they fight there? Like people fight just with money instead of, you know, with gun like and swords.
Also,
like
there is
also just because it's not a PvP game, that doesn't mean there's not competition going on. It is a competitive game by nature because this is a game of comparison. And PoE 2, and especially like PoE 1 and ARPGs in general, are some of the biggest I compare myself to you games there are. Whether you are casual, whether you are like everyone compares each other. Like it might not be PvP, yes. It might not be player, you're not like bonking each other's head in with a mace or whatever.
Yet.
It's gonna be flexing your mage blood, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, exactly. And so it's definitely a competitive environment. It's not Counter-Strike. No one is saying that. It's not Counter-Strike. It's still like that's what people do every single day. And as a content creator and streamer, you realize that within like 30 seconds, because that's what people do, because that's why people are in your stream a lot of the time. It's like, wait, what is this guy doing? It's like, oh, what item is that? Oh, I need it. So
well, I mean, there is literal competition in the ladder. Like that is a competition. You're racing to the first, you're racing to the top. That is literal competition right there. And if you have a better economy, you're going to be getting up to the top faster, you know, in most cases. There's some people who just, you know, focus in and like, you know, dive in and they don't have to really focus on the economy. But later on, after the first wave, I think the economy does kind of take hold, and it is pretty important.
It starts becoming a problem the moment you start taking it seriously, just like everything in the world. Like the moment you start taking it seriously is when the cracks start to form, because it's like early on you're not taking it seriously, you buy a few stash tabs, it's fine, but then all of a sudden you're picking up like all of these essences. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if they just went into like a convenient tab that like ordered them all for me, and you know, like it just automatically did that and sorted it all? Because like I think one of the biggest things that would fix this problem is we don't have that many ways of sorting through tabs that aren't the currency tab or the essence tab, you know? Like I can't just like click a button and like, woo, everything's sorted, right? So having something sort something for you is just a lot of extra time, because like if you are farming, like if you're doing negative base like negative rarity farming, right, Miso, like how much time do you suppose you spend picking up items?
A lot.
Like a lot of that
sorting it, you know, having to figure out like, is this good or is this bad? Like it's really slowing things down a lot. And also something that I was thinking about earlier is I was saying like, oh, you can just, you know, identify, and if it's bad, you throw it away. But at some point your inventory does run out. You're gonna get enough bases that are good, especially if you're doing temple. You're in there for like a good bit of time. You're getting a lot of drops, right? You're definitely gonna fill up your inventory, even if you're doing perfect AUG. Like at some point, it's gonna fill up, and you're gonna have to go back to your hideout or go back to the beginning, go to your stash, and fill up your stash tab.
Yeah, I think effectively. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, all good. I think the whole thing about this conversation is like, especially when you talk about like negative rarity farming, needing to have like 4 quad stash tabs or whatever. I think you need to stop thinking about the game as a free-to-play game. If you're that deep in, you're clearly
It's
clearly worth $30 bucks.
That's clearly worth that. It's the funny thing is like when we were talking about it, We didn't say we didn't engage in the behavior. We were just calling it out. See, we're ethical
Yeah.
consumers of like tobacco. Like, sure, we'll strike a cigarette every so often, like a lucky strike, but we're gonna tell the kiddos on the street, don't smoke cigarettes. Like of course we buy stash tabs. But that doesn't mean we can't
Fair
call
point,
it out
fair
either, right? Like that's like the thing too, is like I don't even think the stash tab thing is even that big of a problem. It's like a small eensy wincy bit of like problem that 99% of people never even interact with, right? It's just simply put, the only reason it comes up in conversation is because it's one of the best examples of like, well, I think Path of Exile is like the most ethical game on the planet, or I think Last Epoch is the most ethical game on the planet because like they told me me using Reddit was cool, or like this and that and all this stuff. Like at the end of the day, like they will do things to make money. Like why do you think GGG cares about like making you play a long time? So you spend more money for microtransactions. Who the heck wants to watch a Templar with a long neck and PoE 1 wear a bucket for a hat for 12 hours a day farming? I don't think many people would. But if it's some hot chick, heck yeah, I'll spend 12 hours a day looking at that instead. Sure, why not? I'll spend $5 for this, or however much microtransactions are. Like all the games that you play, they are doing behavioral stuff behind the scenes to make you want to pay money, and that's just reality at this point.
Yeah.
That's about how predatory it is.
Yeah, I think we say it all the time, ARPG gamers, especially PoE, but ARPG gamers as a whole are just incredibly spoiled. When I look at the MMO landscape, where it's just like a barren wasteland where there's only a few games that are from like 20 years ago that are still the good ones. All the old MMOs, no new MMOs exist, where every year we have exciting new ARPGs, and there are a lot of good ones to play. We're eating good.
I mean, recently with like RuneScape, they were like, hey guys, would you like it if we put ads in the game? And they were like, they literally sent out like a questionnaire to people through email, people who are subscribed to their service, like, hey, wouldn't you mind watching ads while you're subscribed to our game? Would that be?
I think that was for
fun?
RuneScape 3.
Yeah,
They weren't
it was
going to do
like-
that to O School at least.
It was like one of the RuneScapes. It was like, hey, you want to like watch ads while you're paying us? That'd be great. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And everyone's just like, what the fuck are you doing? I have a really, it's nice that you bring that up, Caltrack, because that's actually a good example, because I feel the same exact way, because I have had a long and history story with gaming because I got into it very young. The first game I ever got into was the MechWarrior series. And like I really like MechWarrior Online. It's like BattleTech. It's like big stompy robots. It's like COD, but with big stompy robots. And the company that manages MechWarrior Online is probably one of the worst companies on the entire planet when it comes to game design. To give you an idea, they spent well over 10 years making a Duke Nukem game, with delay after delay after delay. And after that, the game ended up being garbage, right? And also, like, MechWarrior Online was also garbage eventually after a while. And you don't really know how it feels until you actually love a game that's being ruined by, developers that don't, like, that suck, or whatever ends up happening if it's like a CEO making the decision, right? Like, a good example, I actually have a friend that was enjoying Highguard as it was up. He was enjoying it. It's like, just recently, it's like, oh, the Highguard's shutting down. He's like, really? It's shutting down? I'm like, yep, it is. It's like, well, that sucks. I like the game. I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm a card game player. You want to see my Steam library? There's like Duelist, that's dead. Ooh. There's Elder Scrolls Legends, that's dead. There's Faria, that's dead. It's like I'm just going through the graveyard of card games. Like, in comparison to the entirety of gaming, like ARPGs have been the most ethical. Even like D4 of all games looks ethical in comparison to some of the bull that other people go through in other gaming markets. And that's a crazy thing to say, but it is like Like, look at Hearthstone, right? Imagine being a Hearthstone player and spending $100 on a pet that sits on like your board, right?
Oh, card games have been
I've never.
the original, basically
Yeah.
gacha, unethical type of
Yeah, that's
spending
true.
I was
game.
about to say Miso. What is the horse racing game again?
Oh,
What was
Uma
that called?
Musume? Oh, that's a great game. I love that game.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. This is the room that Miso is in right now is a green screen. By the way, he's under a bridge somewhere in the western U.S. because he spent all his money on horse racing.
Yep. No,
I
hey,
guess,
that happens
yeah.
in real life too. Not even just talking about these
Yeah.
digital games. When you could lose your life to horse racing as well. That is true.
I have to say I never really got this discussion because it's the same for me when it comes to like targeted ads or something. It's like, yes, you do get we have this predatory practices a little bit, or like there's a literal science behind this of games, and especially today like mobile games, I guess, and something. And if it's like targeting kids, I think it's a completely different thing. But if it's targeting like us as adults and people who can make their own decisions and whatever, I never really got that discussion about being like, oh my god, this skin is like $40. Yes, you don't have to buy it, you don't need it. It's like, if you want it and if you're like making your money, and this is you're spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours on a game, and it's like a cool thing, then do it. But no one is forcing you to do anything. And a targeted ad, if I get an ad for something that is based on a cookie for me because I needed like cat food or something, if I get an ad for it doesn't make me buy that specific cat food. So I never really got I got that discussion. I just recently with PoE 2, actually, for the first time, I think for the first time I actually spent like any money on cosmetics, because you got the supporter packs and whatever. And I started to be a content creator in that game, and I kind of felt like, oh. I don't think I've ever, like in 20 years of gaming, have spent a single cent on anything cosmetic before PoE 2. I played League of Legends for some time, never like skin. I never really got that whole discussion. So, but
You're better than the rest of us.
Yeah, you are way
it's
better
like,
than the rest
no,
of us.
I'm not saying like this is a bad thing. I think it's cool. Let's say you're a big League of Legends player. You love playing League of
Yeah.
Legends or Overwatch or whatever, and you like this specific character. This is like, I think talking down to people that buy skins
yeah,
or
we
whatever
get
is
what you're
also like super bad. That's
Yeah.
super bad. If it's a cool thing, if I like to play soccer all day, that's my thing, and I every single Saturday I play soccer. I'm buying myself some nice pink shiny neon soccer boots or whatever. Like
Pleats.
it's totally fine. I never got the whole thing about like, oh, I'm being
Boots.
forced to do this. So I think PoE 2, and especially GGG, even though I think what GGG does well is deliver a fucking amazing product that then people feel like, oh damn, I'm spending like 200 hours on this, I want my character to look cool. That is what they do.
Oh, yeah.
Is that bad? I don't think so.
I don't think it's bad either. I just like, that's the thing, is like, speaking of like cosmetic versus like in-game stuff, right? Like it becomes a completely different ball game when you have stuff like Torchlight Infinite, where you're literally paying for a better version of auto loot than people who didn't pay. I think that's like that's like a very good example of like where this goes too far. But I think that like I talked about this for I talk about this a lot, but like I'm gonna self-shame myself real quick. 1 second here. I have, since Ellie went back over to Steam, I have 5,921 hours in the game. Do you really think like I'm gonna spend that much time and not spend $5 on a skin? Like the thing is too is like, I've spent that long. I'm probably a negative in terms of how much they had to pay for server costs to let me play the game, right? So it's like, of course, like, I don't know. I don't feel that bad buying MTX.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, it's just okay. I would feel bad if like I spent so much, like if I was an addict and like bought so much and I got kicked out of my home or something. But this is obviously over years. Like I started playing PoE since 16, right? Like for Christmas, I was like, get me the supporter pack, damn it. Like I have a lot of MTX and PoE 1 now because of that.
I always equate it to
Yeah.
real life money. Like if I were to go out to the movies with a date or something, I would probably be spending upwards of $100, and I would only get 3 to 4 hours of that night for that $100. Versus video games where you can put thousands of dollars hours in. That $100 goes, like if you bought one skin, that's like a lot of time you got out of that, like in terms of entertainment value. So that's how I've always equated it. Is like if I'm putting enough hours into something, as long as there's a ratio of like time to money, I'm okay. And I'm not a big microtransaction guy in general.
Dude, imagine the ultimate grift. You buy D2 all the way back when it first came out, and you play it every single season, and you just like, that's all you do is you just play it, and you just bought the game, and that's it. You didn't do anything else. You didn't buy anything else from Blizzard or anything like that. You just bought $5, and you have well over 20,000 hours. The ultimate grift. Like I get the most amount of like experience out of those like $20. I like, how much was D2 back then? I don't know how much. Dead Rabbit, do you know how much D2 was back then?
Wait,
I want to say
what?
$39.99.
I was in
remember...
the kitchen. Sorry, I had to feed the cat. I was getting attacked by my cats all podcast. I forgot to feed the cat, so I need to feed them. I just heard you talking about me while I was in the kitchen.
No,
D2, I can look on the box.
Oh wait, you literally have the box. That's great. How much was it?
I don't think
I
it's on there.
remember
Oh.
Lord of the Destruction
It's
battle
not on there.
battle
like-
chest or whatever. They were like $39.99 or $49.99
Yeah.
for
It was
like the
like-
base
it
and the expansion.
Yeah, it was like $30 back then. I think the first Diablo 2 might have been before the Euro even. So
Yeah, imagine, but like why we brought it up was we were like, oh, like imagine if you bought D2 back then and all you did ever, the only game you ever played was D2 and you like ran it on the server and that's all you did. I wonder how much server costs that would like accrue over time and like if you could make up the amount of money you spent on D2, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That's the main justification Blizzard has always used for like their expenses is just because like think of how much they spend for WoW servers just maintaining those every year. That's a lot of overhead just to maintain that. So
Yeah, I don't really know too much behind the scenes on that, unfortunately, but it's just like, yeah, I could imagine that getting very expensive very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
well, while Rabbit's gone, let's talk about the PoE 1 League because he is not playing PoE 1 League, but the three of us are. Let's talk about how we're doing the league start. What's up, Rabbit?
I'm back. No,
Okay.
sorry.
I thought you were trying to say
I-
something.
I was wondering the whole podcast why both of my cats are looking at me like they look at food, and I realized I should have fed them 5 minutes before the podcast, and I forgot, and they noticed.
Yeah, they
Sorry.
noticed. They were like, "Please feed me." I was torn on playing or not. I actually know what I'm playing now. I'm going to be league starting as Arrows Holy Flame Totem build. I've never played Totem build before in PoE 1. I'm only doing that to get to end game. People have been telling me I'm probably crazy for wanting to do it, but I'm going to be playing Connor's Mjolnir build. It's like a Cyclone cast on channeling Lightning Warp build. It's Cyclone, which is like what I play every PoE 1 league, and it is apparently very good in Delve. And I main Delve every league, so I've never actually done a Delve meta build. And this looks awesome. It looks really complicated. I mean, I've heard Connor builds are intense. What's his Twitch name? 1 Mana Left? Is that it?
Yes. 1 mana left.
So it's
used to
his
be
build.
Connor Converse, and I think at some point
I only know him
One
based
Mana
off his
Left.
YouTube channel, so I just call him Connor. But he goes
Yeah.
by something else on Twitch. 1 Mana Left. Yeah, so I'm gonna be doing his build for PoE 1. Because yeah, it's a good Delve build. It's a Cyclone Lightning Warp, so you're like cycloning and you're like lightning warping around, like teleporting around. It looks cool. So that's what I'll be playing. What are you guys up to? Or what are you guys playing? Dreadful, do you know what you're playing?
Right now, I believe I'm gonna be playing like. I'll be honest, I literally just found out what I was gonna be playing this morning because I was busy because for the last month my CPU burnt out, so I actually haven't been able to game much other than like on a shit box, which was like a terrible computer. And just this morning I figured out what I was gonna play. It's gonna be Lightning Conduit Hierophant. But but the main reason why we're playing it is because the new Orb of Storms, the Squalls, it's not because it teleports around, the new transfigured version. It's actually because if you actually look at the Orb of Storms, it has a significantly larger base radius than the normal Orb of Storms. So you can increase that with like area of effect and stuff like that. And you can hit the whole screen and you can be in the area. Because for Orb of Storms, if you're not, you guys should be aware of it. It's in PoE 2, right? Essentially, you put it down and you cast spells around it, or lightning spells in this case. You can't just cast normal spells, unfortunately. That would be amazing, but still. You cast a lightning spell near it, and it triggers the Orb of Storm, and it like hits stuff. Now, the problem with normal Orb of Storms in PoE 1 is the fact that it's really small. It's like really small, even if you juice its AoE. So the new Orb of Storms actually has a significantly larger AoE. And because of this, and because it teleports around to enemies it hits, it means that it's way better at coverage because you want to shock things to bring down Lightning Conduit, which is another skill from PoE 2 as well. It's kind of funny how that works. But yeah, we're going to be spamming Lightning Conduit. That's going to be fun. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be playing. Where are you going to be playing, Miso?
I'm gonna be going back to the classic Righteous Fire. I back in the day, I haven't played Righteous Fire since it became like a starter option. Because back in the day when I played Righteous Fire, it was like Combs Heart was the only way you could really play Righteous Fire. So it was a late game build that required a lot of funding. So I haven't played Righteous Fire since then, and I wanted to play it to just experience it. And the other thing is that this league, they made a couple changes, right? For Chieftain, they changed up Hinakoras to make it proc more often, but do less damage, which overall I think is going to be a buff. And I think most of the people out there playing Righteous Fire think it's buff. Boxing's a buff.
The only time it's not a buff is when you're just absolutely abusing it. Like when you're like trying to
cheese
like
a big,
corpse. Yeah. Big gigantic ignite, yeah.
Exactly. So that's gonna be fun. And then they also added the new Searing Bonds totem to the game. The what is it? I forget what the exact term for it is, but there's a new Searing Bonds that they added that after you
transfigured gems.
Yeah, it's a transfigured Searing Bond. And it's like after you place the maximum number of totems that you have a limit to, they all explode. Dealing more damage per totem. So it seems like a potential alternative to single target compared to Fire Trap, which not everybody likes to play. So it seems like it's going to be an interesting league for RF. So I wanted to play it. And it's just a chill play style. Allows me to chat with people in chat and stuff like that. So it's a good time.
It's like, I'll ask Dead Rabbit, like, what are you going to be playing this league? And he's like, reaches back and grabs the Diablo 2 box. It's like he's just caressing it.
That's every week. That's every week on the podcast. He's caressing Diablo 2.
Who would have thought that it is like actually relevant again? And I
know,
actually,
right? That's so funny,
dude. Blizzard actually I got so jealous because the D2 stuff came, like the trailer for the Warlock and all that, and they're announcing all this stuff. And I'm like. Why can't LE make stuff like this? Why can't they hype the game up like this? Like GGG has done wonders for the ARPG genre, specifically in the way of how to get people hyped. You have to actually show them stuff they want. And that's one thing that LE does horribly incorrectly, at least in my opinion, is they never, ever seem to find any way to make you excited to play the game. Even for someone like me with 6,000 hours, they never, ever get that. And that's what Blizzard was doing with the D2 stuff. I'm like, oh my god, they're I was watching it because I'm not a big fan of Blizzard. Okay, I like Hearthstone and I don't like where it's going in general.
I don't think most people are fans of Blizzard these days.
I don't think they are either. Yeah, exactly. So I was very, very skeptical with the Diablo stuff and all that. But I was watching the trailer. I'm like, oh my god, they're actually going to do something with D2? That's crazy. What the heck? I thought they were just going to leave it to rot. And then I was like, wait a moment. They recently were purchased by Microsoft. Microsoft just came in their room and was like, hey, all this shit you have lying around, use it. Heroes of the Storm got a patch. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. That's actually a very common thing in like acquisitions in general. Like not just gaming space or whatever. Like usually when there's like an acquisition like this and another company absorbs another company or whatever and it goes in, they always go like, okay, what are those like things lying around the office, or what are these like this has been a cash cow for 10 years. Okay, maybe we can. So yeah, this actually makes a lot of sense. So I don't think Diablo 2 is ever going to be like a cash cow or whatever, or like a big. I really hope that they don't try to monetize anything here, because that's going to be the beginning of the end. Yeah, it's super funny. I think it has been amazing. Like the past 2 weeks have been amazing for Diablo 2, and in my stream it's just been so cool, because there's a lot of people that never played Diablo 2 before that got into this now because of the Warlock update, and it's been great. I really hope it's
My favorite part of that entire update was watching all of my friends download Diablo 2 and be like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be insane! There's a new class and everything!" And then they're like, "Stamina? What the fuck is that? Why is my inventory so bad?"
It's still a 25-year-old game.
The first thing I always said to people when they came into my chat and went like, "Oh yeah, I'm picking up Diablo 2 for the first time. What should I?" The first thing is, you either get really into it or you don't. And you have to, first thing you have to do is removing your preconceived notions of all the luxuries of modern ARPGs. You will not have those here. The game is not about those. But if you get past that, you might end up like me and can't think of anything else anymore. So no, it's there's, like I said this a lot of, like, it's there's a reason why it's not only the most influential and most influential ARPG of all time. It's one of the most influential games of all time. It's like people are still talking about it. Basically, Chris Wilson's YouTube channel that everyone is raving about, deservedly so, is basically just a Diablo 2 channel and a Magic the Gathering channel, and which is a cool thing because I like those two things. It's there's a reason. There's a reason to it, and it's awesome. People, aka yeah, I'm not the only one who likes Diablo 2. Okay.
So on this little thing you gave us, I see one of the big ones is build diversity in PoE 2. You want to talk about that? We can talk about that.
Yeah, we can dive into that. How do you feel about build diversity in PoE 2?
I have a mixed feeling on this, so this is going to be like a hot take. I'm sure of it. But I think that on the surface, it looks like there is some, but the biggest issue I have with it is specifically in terms of the interactions with certain skills. So one of the biggest problems I see with PoE 2 right now is the fact that each archetype is so heavily coded into each other, right? So like, for instance, if you use a spear skill, you're probably going to be using all the other spear skills or one of the other spear skills, and there's not really a reason to use a different skill, stuff like that. Like, there's a very large amount of just this specific interaction is with this specific skill. Like a good example, Volcano, right? It only works with either rolling magma or a slam. There's nothing else. So like when they add all the new stuff, right? And they're like, hey, we want to do this and this and this with the old stuff. I was like, well, you can't do that because you need to use this specific skill. And there's a lot of that going on. And I like, it's supposed to be cool and like, enjoyable, which I do enjoy it. But it does seem like as though because of the fact that they're doing and it's not like interactions in terms of like numbers. It's more like physical interactions where I physically have to do this. Now, there are some that don't follow this, and there are some that do follow this. So it's like kind of a combo of the good interactions, in my opinion, and the bad ones. Like, yeah, disengage with Fangs of Frost. That's a perfect example. Every single time I look at Fangs of Frost, I'm like, oh, that looks like a cool skill. I want to use it. And I'm like, I don't want to use I don't want to use like parry. I don't want to use parry at all. Can I use something else for this? I'm like, nope. no, you have to use parry. I'm like, but there are examples where this isn't the case either. But like that's like one of the biggest things I think is like keeping like build diversity in PoE 2 as strong, right? Because like you are just going to end up with like let's say I don't know, let's say fissures, right, from slams are the strongest thing right now. Like they're the meta. Well, to interact with those, the fissures, you have to play a slam skill or you have to play a totem. That's your choice, pretty much. And it's just like one of the coolest things that I found this league that was really fun was playing a slam skill like Fury of the Mountain with the fissures, right, and using uh, Feral Invocation to proc Rolling Magmas to proc my Fear of the Mountains. So that was like one of my favorite builds this league. And that kind of interaction I'm fine, like I like, but I just wish there were more points of contact between cross like items. So like some spear skills can be used in interaction with like a good example is like the ice walls and stuff like that. Those can be used cross skill wise easily, right? Like you can, like a good example is like you can put down a frost wall, then pierce through it with ice shot with a drill deck and get damage from that. That works. It's just like there's just a lot of like hard coded interactions, like I said, like with the Fangs of Frost.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went on a rant there.
No, that's a good rant. I had this conversation on stream. I just did a build where I did a life stacking build with using bursting decay to ring that your physical attack damage scales off life, and it ended up being a really cool build. But what I kept saying on stream was this was like finding a puzzle that's but all the pieces are there and it's like easy to solve. Like you just have to find the pieces. Like a lot of these builds in PoE 2, it's just about finding the pieces, but they're very on the rails. Like the puzzles are pre-solved for you. You just got to find the pieces to put in the puzzle, and then it's done. But you don't have the ability to make your own puzzles a lot of the time. It's not on the rails as Diablo 4, but there's a lot of forced interactions in this game. We've talked about infusions before. There's plenty of skills where you have to use them within the same archetype. Weapon swaps have helped a bit, but when it comes to like doing, there's a lot of forced combo gameplay in PoE 2, and it makes when you want to use a skill that's a part of a forced combo in an outside of that combo, you can't, and it's very frustrating at times.
I think crossbows are like the biggest offender in this list because like essentially it's like if you're using a crossbow, right? Like it's essentially like you're going to use crossbow skills. Like it's really hard to justify not using all the other crossbow skills, right? It's just I don't know. It's just like it's like grenades. Why would I ever try to swap to a different detonator skill to pop my grenades when I could just use a grenade detonator skill and not have to spend exorbitant amounts of divines to craft another weapon that would work for my offhand, right? Like it's just stuff like that. It's just like I don't know, like specifically crossbows are like the biggest like offender in my opinion in that regard because like pretty much everything crossbow is everything crossbow.
My question on this whole thing would always be, and this is something that I talked about with my chat and everything. I don't know if we ever talked about that on the podcast. Like my question is, and I don't have the answer for it, but are conditionals good for build diversity or are they bad? Because I feel like both can like, it's kind of both at the same time, I guess, because at one point we kind of need conditionals because if everything is just like the same and we don't have power charges and we don't have certain conditionals to be able to use this skill or to this needs to be parried or this needs to be like you need to disengage first, then everything is just the same. Every character is just blasting the button and everything happens like that. But at the same time, it cuts out, like you were saying, there is a lot of skills, and especially in PoE 2 right now, that are just left by the wayside at the like base level because it's like, oh, you need to do like endurance charges for it, and a lot of players are like, yeah, I'm not doing that, or it's like Fangs of Frost, the disengage conditional or whatever. And I'm so torn on that because I think PoE 2 is trying to do the right thing with having that because I think the end goal of this is build diversity. But right now, the situation that we have right now is a little bit like it seems to be hindering at the same time a little bit. And I kind of maybe I don't know. I would like to hear like your thoughts on that?
So I think that the way I think conditionals should work, or at least personally, like this is how I think one of the better conditionals is having like like Frostwall. Frostwall is like, in my opinion, a good one because it's like it doesn't really matter how you break the frost wall, but if you break the frost wall, it's good, right? Like, or if, like I said, if you use it like earlier, like I said, with like the abuse with like drill deck, you abuse it that way. Those are the kind of conditionals that are cool, and the kind of conditionals that aren't cool are just literally like, this is exactly how we designed it to be played. This is exactly how you should play this. It's the only way to play this. And there's either the forced ones, like with Fangs of Frost, or there's the semi-forced ones, like with, you know, infusions, where it's like, yeah, you could cast this arc, but what if it chained like 3 times as much and dealt 3 times as much damage? You could do that. You know, like why don't you do that? It'd be great, wouldn't it? And then all of a sudden, you have a guaranteed different skill that is guaranteed to be an infusion maker, just because it's like someone logs in, it's like, I want to play Arc. And it's like, well, that comes with baggage. I think that's a good way of putting it. I don't like choosing a skill and then having like 2 other skills come onto that as complete and utter baggage. I guess that's a better way of putting it.
That's exactly how I felt about playing my Spark build this league. I ranted hard about infusions. I had to play Spark, and you are required to play it with Frostbomb because Frostbomb is how you're farming the Frost infusions early on. Like you're required, and it makes you do so much more damage that you are literally kneecapping yourself and removing your arms for not doing that interaction. So it is very much baggage. You are like Spark comes with Frostbomb if you're leveling it through the campaign. It comes with it. You want to do it. Like it's forced interaction.
Well, the charges thing, actually, someone brought up charges, and I think charges are less bad in this regard because this is going to get fixed later on in the game, because they're going to add more ways of generating charges. Let's be real, like that's like easy, unique design space, like easy, like they're going to like, oh, this anoint makes it so that you get a power charge when you do this or whatever. They're going to add more ways of getting charges, and they might add more ways of getting infusions. Yeah,
already
exactly.
did massively this one. We got 2 body armors, like one with the Val thing and the Protector's Val that basically, like it cut out the whole. It cut it out so much, actually, in my opinion, that it was. I kind of went to the conclusion like, oh, okay, why even have it that way? Because I want the Val body armor, Red Flare Conduit, I think it
I'm
is.
using that in my spell
Once you have
build right now.
it's just like, yeah, okay, you just have power charges all the time, and Protector's Vow is basically the same because every build is crit anyway, or 90% of builds are crit anyway, and when you crit, you get a charge. So, yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. Yeah. I think one thing too is like I saw in chat as well. So Morph Dude said, so I think what Dreadful is saying is which stand out to me with Frostwall is that it's spell and it's not meant to be limited by weapon type, therefore you can combo it with all weapon types. Well, because of the weapon swap system, I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't mind having to weapon swap to a different weapon to do my interaction. So like for instance, the reason why Frostwall is specific isn't because of the fact it's a spell, it's the fact that it doesn't have to be a specific skill that interacts with it. So like for instance, a good example is like let's say Spearfield, right, has a thing where like if you use enough melee attacks around it, right, it will explode the spears for you or something like that, right? It'll just explode them all for you. If you just say generically a melee attack, right, all of a sudden all these things open up. You can do whatever you want. You can be like, okay, I'm going to swap to this sword skill specifically to get a bunch of attack speed to be able to pop my spear field when I put it down. I'm going to use a giant spear with no attack speed. I'm going to lay down the spear field, and I'm going to reap the rewards by swapping to a very fast weapon with the weapon swap on the tree and attack a bunch, right? Like, I don't think the weapon requirements have to be the limiting factor in this regard. Like, you can make stuff work together. It's just you have to make the conditions not as specific.
Thoughts, Miso? You haven't weighed in.
I mean, when it comes to this whole like build diversity and like these specific conditionals, I think that it's very interesting because technically having more of these interactions where they add more skills kind of forces in a way build diversity, in the sense that like if you added 2 skills in randomly, sometimes they might not work that well with one another, so it might not create a new build. But then when you force it, then it's like, yeah, for sure we're adding this. But at the same time, it limits create. It can't all. It comes back to this thing about Dead Rabbit, where it's like it's kind of like does have more build diversity, but also doesn't, because you now lose the opportunity for somebody to come in and be creative and like, oh, now this skill that they added works with like 5 or 6 other skills, and that creates like 2 or 3 new builds. So it's like a weird thing where it does both at the same time. But the thing that I keep getting caught up at is that the new player experience, right? When you come in and have a very specific, like, hey, this skill interacts with this skill, it's very easy to understand for anybody who's just picking up the game to be able to play with that interaction. Whereas if it wasn't as specific, it may be a little bit harder for them to figure out, like, hey, which one's the good combination for this? Because not every combination is the good combination. So it's like until you start getting deeper into the weeds with the game, you're not really getting that cool interaction, which kind of can turn off somebody who's just coming in like, hey, I want to try this game out, I want to see what's up with it. And then it's like instantly it's like, okay, I already know how to make this work, and I get this cool interaction by doing what the game tells me. Whereas if it was a little bit more general, again, they can't make every single one of these be super powerful or super cool. So then they need to go through the process of figuring things out, and then that already adds a level of like, I don't know if I want to do this type of situation. So it's like it's a hard place to be in, because I can see it as like, and it's also from like a balance perspective as well. It's a lot easier to balance when there are these more limiting interactions and more of these conditionals that are more tight. So I see it from like so many different perspectives, and I'm looking at it from so many different perspectives. It's just hard to say what exactly is the right choice, because there are clear pros and cons to all of it. But
well, I think the right choice is sorry for interrupting you.
Go ahead.
I think the right choice is to have just a mixture of skills that have a specific interaction, and then have a mixture of skills that have more contact points with interactions. Like for instance, like with the infusion system, there can just be some skills like Comet that are just like, okay, if you fire infuse this, it's going to do a lot more damage. And I think that's fine. But then you have a skill like Spark. You can have like, well, you can consume a Frost infusion, or if you don't have a Frost infusion, you could like spend a power charge instead if it's insufficient. And I think that could also help too, is more points of contact and not just like one specific point of contact. Like, and the thing is too, it could be like, well, you can either consume a Frost infusion and get that bonus, or you can consume a power charge, but you get less of that effect. But it's like 50% of the way of being as good as a Frost infusion. So you're not necessarily punishing the person for like not having Frost infusions, but you're like allowing them to like do different things with it. But like, I do agree that like, I think there should be some skills like that, but I think that there should be a mixture of them. And I think some of the trees, like some of the skills are very like cookie cutter. This is exactly what we want you to do with them. And I think that there could be a combo of skills that are like, these could be used with anything. And these are like the what is like railroaded experience, I think.
Yeah, on rails experience.
Yeah, on the rails.
Yeah. I mean, Jonathan did say at some point that he wants, and I think this was in 0.3 when he said this, and Morph also mentioned this as well, but he did say that he wanted every skill at some point to work well on its own, because he did feel like there was a lot of skills that are only viable if you're using it with something else. So hopefully down the line they take this into account, and it gets better and better, because it is exactly as you say, there needs to be more choice, more options. And it's not necessarily we need to take away this kind of on rails experience. It's just adding a little bit more beyond that, right? If you want to take it off rails, you can, but right now it feels like there's certain things that you can only do when it's on rails.
And who knows, it might all get fixed in a year when everything's in the game. That's a big issue with PoE in general. It's just like PoE 2 is just like this is I made a rant video talking about this with like early access games, but like it's hard to criticize a game when it's only like 20% of the way there or whatever. Like we can't really talk about all this stuff because like they could bring out the swords and they could be like exactly what we're talking about, or they could be like everything we're talking about, or they could be the most insular like setup ever. Like there's just a lot of possibilities in that regard. So yeah.
There's always like the possibility we're complaining about something and GGG's like, we want to patch that, but if you just wait till swords, it comes with this ability that solves that, or it comes with this unique sword that solves that. Like uniques solve everything, and if there's a specific problem that needs to be solved, but it's on a Templar's flail right now, like how do you approach that as GGG? Do you take that mechanic off of the flail and put it someplace else in the game now? What do you do with that flail then? Or is it going to still work the same way? So yeah, early access games add a whole new problem.
Well,
especially with so many unfinished abilities that we know that they like most of the abilities are probably done. They have these solutions just sitting there.
Yeah. I think it's important for us to talk about these things though, just in case they don't chance more likely than not they do have it on their list of things to do, but it's important to talk about it in case they don't. Which is why I always see these comments like, oh, why are you guys complaining so much? It's an early access game, blah, 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 or like whatever. It's like, one, we're not like complaining. It's more about like, hey, we are playing this game and we wanted to get better. So here's some constructive criticism, or like, giving them hopefully helping with the direction of the game. But also it's like, hey, they might not have the knowledge that this problem exists.
I think actually a good example, I think a good example of this is, I think that it's completely, you brought this up with like the new player experience. I think that it's fine to have skills early on that feel cookie cutter. Like when I first unlock Fangs of Frost, it could be like, okay, I need to use parry to generate the thing for Fangs of Frost. But then later, it could be like, hey, I could do this different thing instead if I want to. So like a good example, the way you could fix this, right, is like when you do this, you get a Frenzy Charge instead, right? And then you consume a Frenzy Charge for Fangs of Frost. So that means that later on, if you have a different way of generating Frenzy Charges, then you can play Fangs of Frost without needing to parry things, right? But of course, that brings up the case of like, well, then no one's going to frickin' parry because it sucks.
Parry's cool. No, don't say that. I did a parry build. It worked
I'm being slightly sarcastic, but
no,
at the same time, like who the heck wants to play that?
Only me. Yeah, parry builds are interesting. I want to talk about one last thing for PoE 2. Oh, did we lose Dread?
No, I think he just turned off his camera.
Oh, okay. I want to talk about one last thing for PoE 1, PoE 2. PoE 1 just got a bunch of new quality of life that's really cool. But the one thing that stands out to me the most is the mapping experience. We've talked about mapping so much for PoE 2. And when I look at the PoE 1 mapping system, I'm like, oh my god, that looks so perfect for that game. And I kind of want that system in PoE 2. It also seems like they're paying attention to clicks per minute, which is really cool, or like really focusing on like letting you get into the interactions more quicker. But what are your guys' just generic thoughts on the PoE 1's new mapping system, where you can just straight up spam one map over and over with ease? It's basically the Waystone system. And how would you like to see that implemented in PoE 2? Let's start with Dread.
So I actually really like the mapping system in PoE 2. People are gonna hate me for that. I actually like going across like the land and walking across, but like I like that part. But I think the way that they could do it and implement it is just like how they implement it in PoE 1 is like I can either keep exploring to find new stuff, or I can go to a map that I previously completed if I just want to do that layout again and again and again. I think that would ruin the game at all, because people need to explore to find this stuff, like the lineage supports and stuff like that. As long as they add enough stuff where you have to go and find it versus, content that you can just like repeat over and over again. I don't think it would be bad to implement it where you can go back to a previous map and redo it. Well, that specific layout, right? I don't think that would be bad at all. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I think I literally posted, maybe it was in your chat yesterday, Miso. I said the same. I brought up this conversation in his chat, and I thought the same thing. Like, what would be if they did no other changes, they just made it to where I could spam the same location over and over right now? How would that break the game, and how would that ruin the experience? Obviously, the solution here is like if all the maps are fun, then it doesn't matter where you're going. But there's the choice of I am either exploring or not exploring. If I want to sit here and spam this one location, I'm not finding lineage support gems, I'm not finding citadels, I'm not finding cleansed areas, I'm not finding all this stuff. I remember very early on in 0.1, it was like Mark, I think, who said they were actively avoiding people being able to sit there and spam one location because back then the towers worked differently to where you would cake the mechanics down and you could find one location with like 8 modifiers on it and then spam that over and over again. We don't have that anymore. It's just tablet juicing. So if we had the current system with infinite spam on one location, I don't see any downside to that. It lets people play the way they want, and you're missing out on exploration. The exploration does matter.
I don't think people hate the walking around aspect of PoE 2's Atlas. I don't think they hate that at all. They may think they hate that, but I think they just hate the fact that because you have to move on from the map that you're playing, you have to engage with what I call bad layouts in general, just bad layouts. Like just legitimately like bottom of the bottom. Like imagine playing PoE 1 and every map was cells. Like if I had to like interact with cells every single time I wanted to, I don't know, go do a boss, I'd just be like, I'm uninstalling. I don't want to play this game anymore. And I think that's the issue with PoE 2 is they have a very large amount of shit, just obviously garbage layouts. And I just don't like it's kind of a catch. I don't know. It's kind of like it's a big issue in general because they reduce the movement speed, which in a vacuum, I think is fine. But then they went ahead and they made every single map as snaky as possible, like snaky, and also as well as big as possible and less dense. So it's like not only do you have the slow movement speed, but you also have the less dense maps. I don't think people would care about the maps as much if they were much denser as well, like in endgame, which is funny because they reduced the density, which I don't know why they did that, but whatever. I'm not going to complain about it. But still, or maybe I will. No. But yeah, I think a lot of people are hating, like, dislike PoE 2 specifically for this one specific problem where like because like a good example is like tier 17s, right? People hated tier 17s. It's like, why do you hate tier 17s? I'm like, well, I think the layout is shit. There's a lot of these modifiers that kill me if I don't move out of the way or if I don't like properly get out of the bubble or whatever, right? And every single map for T17s are literally a PoE 2 map. Every T17 map could be ported into PoE 2, and we'd be like, oh yeah, this is par for the course. But everyone in PoE 1 hates the layouts for hates the layouts for T17s because we just don't enjoy those. Like if there was like dunes for PoE 2, people would be like, yeah, let's freaking go. Yeah.
I think when it comes to like this conversation is very interesting, and I had a conversation about this with my chat the other day too, because when it comes to like first off, when you were talking about earlier about like giving you the choice to like either stay at a map or but they also have incentives to explore, that's kind of what they're doing in PoE 1 actually with allowing you to stay at the map, but then they also have the astrolabes now where it does make you explore, because when you're going across different maps, you're getting more and more bonuses and more benefits. So that mechanic in itself is kind of like a traversing an atlas where you can't stay in the same map. Whereas if you have the choice, if you want to, you can just not run astrolabes and then just stay in the same map. So it's interesting how they're doing kind of what you're saying in PoE 1 and not in PoE 2. I think the whole thing about like map layouts is hitting the nail right on the head for me, because I talked about this the other night. It's like, why don't you just make it so that maps aren't shit. That way we don't mind actually moving around. That's like at the end of the day,
It really is
problem.
just that simple. It's like it's like, why did you reduce our movement speed and our mobility and make the map layout shit? Like, why did you do both? Why? That's so confusing to me.
I also think it's really funny because everybody's favorite maps are always the maps that don't require any map designers. You could literally give it to like a random player and they could probably design a map, and everybody's like, this is the best map ever. Because literally our favorite maps a lot of times are just like, it's a straight line or it's a big square with nothing in the middle.
Confluence is the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, like that. So that one map that with the tower where it's the chimera
Bluffs,
at the end, I
right?
can't remember, Bluffs. That's my favorite fucking map. That's my favorite map to run. You know why? Because I run in a line and that's it. We're good. And I think there's like a huge there's a huge like dissonance between who is playing the game and who is making the game for this one simple problem. Okay, is we play these games for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. Sometimes when people come home from work, they don't want to think about how like I need to go pull levers to open the door for the boss. They don't want to. They don't want to have to like navigate the maze of like a cells map just to be able to like move through their atlas and stuff like that. They just want to be able to like sit down and game. And I think that's like the biggest like problem in general is like there's been a lot of stuff with PoE 2 where it's like they don't want you to go on like autopilot and just play the game. Like, that's why we play these games, right, guys? Like when you play D2, Dead Rabbit, and you're enigmaing through Arcane Sanctuary, like, do you think about, oh, like this specific mob I showed up, like if I don't specifically like dodge and parry him at the right time and avoid every single ability, like I'm gonna die. Like, you don't think that. You're just like, ooh, candy on the ground. Ooh, a new rune. Ooh, like you don't want to think about actually playing the game. I don't know. It's just interesting.
I think there's like a place for both at the same time, and I think that is definitely, in my opinion, something that PoE 2 really wants to do. They want to have both the brain off type player base that just wants to grind and just wants to have this like and that's basically what an ARPG is a lot of the time, and that is one of the reasons why a lot of people gravitate towards ARPG so much, because it's like meditative in a way, to just grind like that and just like don't think, have some music, have a stream playing or whatever, and just go for that. I think it's very cool though that PoE 2 at the same time also offers like a way for people who want, I don't know, like this gets thrown a lot. This saying gets thrown a lot, like Souls-like gameplay that PoE 2 offers sometimes. I think there's a really, really a place for both. And yeah, maps are. I don't think maps are the solution to that though. I think maps most of the time should be like an easy.
Well,
Just you go through there. You shouldn't have to pull levers. You shouldn't have to be like, oh shit, I'm in another dead end. But if I traverse the map more, like, I think maps should be like a chill thing. And then you can have like extra content that is this more challenging Souls-like. What is the saying again? Like meaningful combat type of
Meaningful
thing. I
combat,
think
yeah.
maps should always be chill, right?
I think that you could. I think what you could do. This is personally what I would do. Is I would make it so that the league content is when you have to think a little bit, but the actual map itself you don't have to think as much. Like when I open up an abyss and the scary abyss rare is out, I don't mind dodging the scary abyss rare. I don't mind playing around the scary abyss rare stuff because it's a scary abyss rare. I expect it to be like that. But when I walk into the map and I'm playing a projectile build and one of those stupid fucking shield guys are walking up to me, I don't want to have to think about like having to like get around him, just so I don't accidentally murk myself because I spew out like 50,000 projectiles, and the moment I touch him, I will die. Like, I don't want to do that. But I think there's a time and place for when you have to, like, what I would call locking in, right? Like, lock in to be able to, like, do this. And I think that I'd be fine with the league mechanics because you either they showed up in your map every once in a while, or you went out of your way to specialize into more of it. Like when you see an abyss in your map, you're like, well, I put that there. I don't mind putting more thought and effort into clearing the abyss properly because I'm the one that put it there, right? And I think that kind of stuff should be more, I engaged the game to do that.
Agreed.
That's my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I think my thoughts are the campaign is the best place for that kind of stuff. But when you're in endgame mapping, I think every person that's in endgame maps is trying to blast. That's it. You're in maps.
Yeah,
to
like
blast.
this happens in PoE 1 because, like, when you're in PoE 1, you grab the node for Expedition where it does one gigantic explosion. When you do that, you're like, well, when you do that, you do have to actually pay attention slightly to the things that pop out because everything could pop out and one tap you, like the sword guys, right? Especially early on in the league. That's another part of it too, is like this could all be on a spectrum. Like, I don't mind needing to use my brain for the first day of play, but if I need to use my brain after the second day, the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, if I reroll an alt and I have to use my brain to just get through the normal campaign because I can't like overpower it enough with like gear and all that, that's where I'm just like the whole point of the ARPG experience is to get powerful and to be able to ignore that kind of stuff and like just turn your brain off. Like, you should have to work to get there because, like, in Path of Exile, you work to get to that point, right? You work to get to that point, like every single league when you're like league starting and stuff like that. So I feel like PoE 2 just needs to like let people turn their brains off after they've been playing for a bit. Like, I got my pedigree, I played the league for 4 days. Can I just turn my brain off for a little bit?
I'm also going to offer a little bit of like, I don't know, devil's advocate here too. I think a lot of what it is, when I'm thinking about it, it's like there's a lot of points of friction in these games. And as you progress through the game, as you play the game more and more, these points of friction should slowly start getting solved with your progression. And that is the case in PoE 1 as well, even with the new Waystone system. As long as the Atlas stays the same, we're still going to have to run all the maps to get all the Atlas points. And then, but the thing is, after you finish running all your maps for the Atlas points, then you can start hunkering down and being like, this is what I want to do, right? That level of progression does give you, it's like more friction and then eventually less friction. And I would say that where I'm playing devil's advocate is the existence of like a grand project, for example, where now you've gotten enough funding to be able to just always afford a grand project to get rid of that friction. So it's like they have kind of built that into the game as well, but maybe it's just at a point where we don't think it's accessible enough at the end game. This league, it was very accessible, which was very nice. So my mapping experience through the Atlas was great. I never had to run any maps that I didn't want, pretty much. I always just ran the maps that I wanted. But in other leagues, maybe the grand project was just a little bit too inaccessible to where you never really got to that point where it felt like running a grand project was just, yeah, just do it.
Any final thoughts? All right, let's go on to build of the week then. You have my build ready, Miso?
I do.
This will be a quick showcase. I've showcased Caltrops builds on the before. This is just another variation of them. This is more of just a shout out to the creator himself. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Gavrin. Gavrin does lore videos. He does campaign videos where he like goes through all the dialogue and stuff. A lot of that really cool stuff. And he's doing himself a dodge roll Caltrops build. It was a cool take on it. I've showed Caltrops builds once or twice on the podcast before.
I think I showed one too.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're a lot of fun, and this was I don't think I'd seen an updated one for 0.4 that was like this push. Like he's got the +4 vertex. Yeah, he's got this is a sick setup. Yeah, it's a really cool style. If you've never played dodge roll builds before, they're not for me. I can't play Caltrops build. I get so over just only using dodge roll to kill stuff, but they are cool. And this is a good variation. I mean, his damage here is crazy. This single.
Yeah, Caltrops is such a weird skill in PoE 2 because it's exactly the kind of combat and stuff they don't want people to play, and then they put it in the game, right? And then people use it, obviously, because you're going to, right? It's funny, it's really cool, stuff like that, right? But then they just nerf it and nerf it and nerf it and nerf it, and it's just like, why would you even put it in the game in the first place if you don't want us to do this? You're the guys. You guys are the ones that put in Caltrops. Like, I'm not the perpetrator here. I'm just trying to have fun, dodge rolling around, right? It's such an interesting topic.
I mean, you're speaking to the guy who's played like 18 different reflect builds that have all been deleted from the game. Like, you can't play Magma Bear, you can't play Wind Dancer or Arctic. It's like, why'd you put damage on these skills if you didn't want me to try and kill everything with them, GGG? Yeah, I hate that too.
Yeah, specifically when it goes against their design philosophy, right?
They don't want you to AFK in this game. They don't want you to play Thorns builds. Yeah, and there's a very active and popular Thorns style, so it's very counterintuitive.
It's not necessarily that they don't want you to. I think it's just they have an idea about what the limits are that they want it to be, and maybe these builds are just beyond the limit. I don't know. It's hard because like when you first implement a skill, you just don't know how it's going to be until it gets into the player's hands because there's so many possibilities. They might have a, in their mind, like, this is the way to play it. But then unless you're playing one of those, like we were talking about earlier, with the on rails skills, it's hard to say what the player is going to end up actually doing with the skill. So there's kind of that perspective as well. But talking about the build itself, I think it's a really cool build because this uses what is it called, the Palm of the Dreamer for AoE, but then also it's on Chayula, taking advantage of the new
Chonk.
Yeah, taking advantage of the new what is it called, Void Illusion or something like that. The thing where you dodge roll, and if the enemy hits it, it does like a burst of damage. It's pretty cool. I haven't really seen much of. I mean, it seems like it's a pretty much hand in hand thing where you use Chonk, you dodge roll a lot to do Caltrops. Chonk has this thing, do more damage, which is cool. But I haven't really seen anybody use it together like this and push it to this level either.
Yeah, I think the thing is too, is like, so personally, I don't know how much gear this character, like, does he have a lot of gear on this character?
He has a +4 vertex, so it's...
Yeah, that's very expensive, right? I'm pretty sure
this is
Palm of the Dreamer. Yeah. At this point, it's not cheaper. At this point, none of these things are that expensive, but...
Yeah.
Like, they're expensive a few days in, right? Because they don't exist or whatever, right?
For sure.
And I think that's where that limit becomes... like it becomes an existence. It's like, if I want to spend all my currency on this janky, funny, like, dodge build, like, I think I should be allowed to do that. Now, if like I took Caltrops and deleted the entire game on day one with no gear or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, that's stupid, get rid of it. But like if you literally spend the entire, I think there's a problem is like when you look at this gameplay, you're like, oh wow, this is so cool, and no one ever stops to think like, well, what kind of gear is he wearing? What's the context? Like, is the gear expensive early on? Like, can I start this character day 1 or day 2 of a league and get it all set up like this? Like, I think the context is the most important part, because like, I think I'm completely fine with builds like this existing, especially if it's going to be that expensive. Like, who cares? Once you have, like, I feel like in video games, if I have played for 80 to 100 hours in a league at this point, or however long, whatever arbitrary number you want to use, I should be able to break the game. I think that's kind of the point, right? If I want to do stupid shit with Caltrops, let me do stupid shit with Caltrops. Like, sure, yeah, it looks strong, but at the same time, how late into the league is this? Like, it's very late in the league. If you've been playing the whole league, wouldn't you want to be doing well in the game? Like, I don't know.
Caltrops is a good baseline, by the way. You can league start Caltrops. It's not like the best league starter, but
yeah,
you don't need.
I'm talking about like league started in the way that like you saw the T4s just get like
no, you won't.
T3,
no.
Sorry.
Yeah, to do that DPS, it requires you to have gotten an investment. Yeah, and I think that's fine too. I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, that's always
they have stuff like that too, like Temporalis. That's clearly something that's going to be crazy OP. But if you invest enough money, enough time, you can finally get it and finally build these crazy common builds that we have in the game now.
Your build, Miso? You ready for yours?
Yeah, sure.
Shout out to Gavrin. Gavrin's a legend. If you don't watch
Yeah.
his stuff.
Good stuff. Good
Oh
stuff.
yeah, my rituals is a perfect example of that. My rituals is not something you would league start. You'd have to play like a Miso spiral volley build and then eventually farm all those crazy chase uniques to swap to that life stacking style. That's a good example of a build. That build was not league start friendly at all.
All right. Well, my build is a lot pretty simple build, to be honest. I just thought this was a really cool thing because this was an idea that I wanted to do at some point but never got around to it, which is basically just taking the palm skills and using that for clear. That's everything.
That's so cool.
Yeah, this
Oh my
build
God,
just
so
uses
like-
Shattering Palm for everything. It's for a single
So,
target,
like,
uses
a
a different
few-
thing.
A few weeks ago, I was actually playing a shattering. I was doing like a 0 to hero run where I like start fresh and stuff like that, and I was playing on a Smith and Katava because my concept at the time was like use Shattering Palm in combination with the Forge ability. So the Forge ability, like I can't remember the name of it at the top of my head. The Smith skill where you like you empower your skill so that it does the fire explosion. The concept was to Shattering Palm into a pack and then have the explosion pop the Shattering Palm, right? That was the idea. And I tried it in a solo self-found environment and it was garbage. So it's nice to see it's doing well here, but it's just funny because I was like, wait, I literally just played this recently.
Shattering Palm's awesome.
Shattering Palm's awesome. My goal with one of my characters last league was also to do it so that Shattering Palm was the only clear. I think I wanted to do that with my Chonk league starter, my Hollow Palm Chonk. It never ended up being that way. But this build is able to scale Shattering Palm to a level where it can just one-shot things and be the only ability that you're using to clear. Of course, single target, he's using Tempest Flurry, Culmination, Falling Thunder, very typical. But I just thought it was very cool that he was able to build this to be strong enough to actually do full clear maps with only Shattering Palm, which was something that I had wanted to do. With
really funny when I did research for Shattering Palm, the main thing I kept seeing in the comments and everything from the videos I watched with Shattering Palm was like, yeah, this build works, but it's expensive. I'm like, wow, let me see if I can try this in like a fresh start environment, and it was so bad.
I don't remember what league I did it in. I did a Shattering Palm Thorns Titan, and the way Quill Burst works is whenever you hit someone with a target, it splashes around that target and does that Thorns damage.
It was 0.2.
So that was 0.2. Okay, I couldn't remember what league it was, but that was the only that I did a self-shattering palm build. It was not like near as good as DPS as this, but that was the one time I've played Shattering Palm. And if you have Shattering Palm as your only clear, it's so much. Oh wait, no, I played Shattering Palm this year with my Poison Concoction build or my
build, but you were bursting Shattering. You were bursting it with your conch.
Yeah, but the Thorns character was self-procking it, but it was not like this at all.
Yeah.
Shattering Palm's awesome, and it's fucking crazy looking. Like, this is not him using, like, After Effects and shit. Like, it is a spectacle in-game when it's, like, cascading like that. It is the coolest looking skill in the game, easily. It's so fun.
Yeah. But Dead Rabbit.
How is he self-procking it? Sorry, how is he self-procking his Shattering Palm? Just scaling by damage?
It's just strong enough to one-shot the mobs. Okay, that's it. But
you do enough damage, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's no crazy tech going on here.
No,
it's just
there's
big
nothing
weapon.
Crazy. It's just damage.
The crazy tech is divine.
Yeah, money. Okay, cool. This is sick, dude. What's his name? Slayer D?
Yeah.
Shout out to Slayer D.
Yep. Rabbit's out here cringing, though, at this Headhunter gameplay. No shrines, but Headhunter.
No shrines. You good for your build, Rabbit?
I don't have one this week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I don't think I don't think Headhunter is as egregious at showcasing acceleration shine or whatever because it's in the game. Like everyone does that, but shrine and you will.
What shrines? What do you mean?
You're telling the viewer though, like you put this item on. This is what the item does. Showing
Yeah,
like showing an acceleration shrine, it's like that's a conditional. Headhunter is not a
Yeah.
conditional. It's like you put this item on, this is the effect. I do think, and I think we've talked about this though. I love Headhunter. It's an amazing item, but I kind of hate it how it is right now
I
in
hate
PoE 2
Headhunter so
because
much.
it is literally, this is not an over exaggeration. You put on Headhunter, you put on Rite of Passage, any build works.
I literally
Any
had
build
this
works.
conversation like this week on stream.
mean,
Like
so
every person asks, "Can Headhunter fit in this build?" I don't care. I'm never going to do it because it just becomes a Headhunter build.
I think Headhunter ought to be either nerfed or be like Temporalis levels
Yes.
of rare.
Yes.
it's so
I-
funny listening to this and like playing PoE 1 since 3.0 and just like, yeah, it's
That
been
is-
like that
That's
for
Headhunter.
15 years.
That's Headhunter. I
It's
think
like
it's-
it's been
It's
there
just
the
too
whole
common.
time.
It's too common in PoE 2. It's
Right now,
it's
Oh,
a
yeah,
T1
it's
unique.
so cheap. It's like I think it's a
that's
divine
because
right
of the
now.
temple though. That's because of the temple.
No. It was in 0.
Oh.
In 0.3 it was super cheap. Like
It was like 20 divine last
2 weeks
week,
in.
which is not very
Oh
good.
wow,
2
yeah,
weeks in.
that's
No,
Oh,
well,
mega
so
cheap.
it's
What
not
the
not
heck?
two,
Ever since they
not
buffed
20 at
it,
2
it
weeks,
was
not weeks at
super-
2, not 20 at 2 weeks, not 20 at 2 weeks.
Yeah, but it was
It
was
was cheap.
pretty
It was very
readily available
affordable.
once you.
It
I would
was
say
it's a
Headhunter
about
was
chase
an
unique.
affordable unique.
It's a chase unique for a certain amount of weeks, depending on how much you play, but you will end up getting it, even if you're like a more casual.
it
player.
depends on your level of casual. Depends on your level of casual.
I feel like there's a spectrum of casuals
Dude, last
right
league
now.
it was
True.
like a few div.
No, it was like
pretty-
it was like 40 something. It was like 40 something divs for like the first month, and then eventually it became like in like a month and a half. I think it was like 20.
Well, even if it
divs.
was 40 and not 20, in my head, Headhunter should be a 400 divine unique.
That's
Like, it
crazy.
should-
Well,
it should not
okay,
be.
I think that's too far. I think the problem is like you don't want it to be cheap enough where it feels cheap to include it, but you also don't want it to be so expensive that you feel like
If a
as
mirror
though-
is 300 divines, is a Headhunter at 400 that
Yeah.
absurd? Like,
I think.
Yeah.
I don't think Headhunter
Then
is
it
a
kinda
mirror
feels
tiered
like-
item.
then it feels kind of
well,
like
I'd say it was mirrors. If a mirror is 3,000 divines and Headhunter is 400, why is that?
yeah, but
scaling
then
about?
you
we're
said-
walking
you
into the
said-
world
okay.
of like. Then we're walking to the world of like RMT bait though. Like that gets to the point where it's just like people are just like gonna swipe their credit cards to buy these items.
What they
instead.
want to do that with Temporalis? Temporalis is 3 to 4 mirrors that already exists. You know,
I mean,
The thing, also,
yeah,
Cal, your situation of mirror being 3,000 divines and Headhunter being 300 is fine. I think that's fine. Like that means that the league is super inflated and it's super easy to get 300.
well, just like
divines.
that ratio, whether the mirror was 1,000, like you keep that distance. Like right now, it's just like it just feels like Headhunter's been attainable every league for like. I mean, maybe it's just my perspective.
it depends on your person.
Wrong.
Depends on the person.
Maybe my
depends on the
perspective's just
person.
wrong. Maybe
Depends
my
on your
perspective's
person.
just wrong.
Yeah, there were so many people last league that like this league. It's very accessible. Last
Yes.
league, there were plenty of people that couldn't.
Maybe I just make too much currency for that.
I think your perspective is very skewed on that one. But
Dude,
also,
the guy drops one last flame, and now he's like Elon Musk over here, being like, "Oh, you pores, you pores."
I'm
I
sad
have
I
15
can't look up.
headhunters.
I
I
think
can't look up like the
The Headhunter
economy
card price?
for PoE 2.
I
Yeah, I can't look it up.
I think there's a multifaceted problem here. The first problem is that endgame scaling does not get high enough to where a Headhunter itself cannot carry your build. That is probably the main issue in my opinion to why it feels that way, where it's like you get a Headhunter and you get a Rite of Passage and you clear every single build. Headhunter should be more expensive given how powerful it is, right? I think that's one of the problems is that the end game content just doesn't scale to a level where Headhunter can't just take care of most problems. The other problem is that there's not enough other options that are like that you want to use over a Headhunter in most situations. In Path of Exile 1, there is Mage Blood, right? That's why Headhunter, one of the reasons why Headhunter isn't as insane as it is here. But I think the main problem is just that the content scaling is at a point where Headhunter is too strong for the content. I think either...
And that would get fixed with time. That'll get fixed with time. I think, at least. I would hope so.
It's also just not a T1. What I'm saying is it's not a T1 unique. It's a T0 unique. I don't know why it's a T1. It's way too strong to be a T1 unique. There's other T0 uniques that are not even close as build defining and strong.
Yeah, I think it could be rare if we want it to be, but definitely not at the point where it's a mirror. That to
Oh
me
yeah, I wouldn't
is
want it. It's not
pretty
worth a mirror.
ridiculous.
There's
I-
only
yeah,
one
agreed.
unique in the game that is a mirror. That is not Valve. That is not like a Valve thing, and that's Temporalis.
That
No, I
requires
don't
you to
think-
not get hit in the sanctum. Like that's fine.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
like
And
we have
exactly.
original sin in PoE 1. It's like it happens.
Requires you to not get hit, and you have to use a key that costs, in a
I
certain
think the
amount.
difference is like, okay, I think the difference personally, when I see PoE 2 footage, I can tell that they're wearing a Temporalis. But if I see like Headhunter footage, like, like obviously like they're doing really well, but like it's not necessarily like I'm not watching them like literally like Enigma their
Yeah.
way through the map,
They're not
right?
comparable.
Like I think that's another thing. Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
Mhm.
The classic
and,
Headhunter discussion.
yeah, and
It
I
just
think
means you don't die pretty much.
there's also a thing that's like there's and not just power level scaling, but also Headhunter is never a bad thing to use in most situations. Though this league, there was the Omen of Light farm where if you used a Headhunter, you were actually kind of gimping
That's
yourself.
why you
pretty
just go
hard.
on the temple.
So maybe it's also about like adding more content where Headhunter isn't as good as it is. Like there's multiple ways to solve this problem, but you can make it a
Agreed.
little bit rarer. You can make it so that it's not as good in all content by raising the ceiling, or just changing up the content to where maybe Headhunter isn't good in all pieces of content, and also adding more options that are.
or
also
you could just do the PoE 1 route where you just keep power creeping it. You could just do that.
yeah.
That works, I guess.
The new
I never
Shrine
liked
Belt, Mage Blood,
I just like bossing too much, so like that's one of the main reasons why I just don't want a Headhunter, because Headhunter does like it just. I mean, it's got good stats on it. It's got a lot of strength and dex, but
It's good in
Yeah.
Zash.
I wear the Headhunter for the strength and dex, baby.
yeah, stat stack and Headhunter. Thanks for coming on, Dredd. This was a super fun podcast. So I love your takes.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Hopefully, I wasn't too casual for you guys, as I have not played as much PoE 2 because I've been either absurdly busy or the fates have been aligning in a way where like I don't get to cover PoE 2 because I'm too busy covering the main game I play.
I think you're an ARPG veteran. Like you can talk about probably any ARPG just fine. So it was great talking to him from our.
Apparently not D2. Not while Dead Rabbit's in the room.
No, only him.
It's like,
Well, if people don't know where they can find you, do your plugs, do your shout outs. So where can they find you?
I am currently on Dreadful on YouTube, DR3ADFUL. I make a lot of Last Epoch content. I make a lot of Path of Exile content. And thankfully, because things are changing, I'm making a lot of PoE 2 content as well. So we're going to keep doing that in the future. So also, I stream on Twitch. It's the same name, but with 2 underscores after it because someone stole my name because they're mean. But yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me.
Sweet.
Right. Go ahead, Miso.
Perfect.
Yeah, same as always. Miso X Shuru on Twitch and YouTube. Stream every single night. I will be streaming League launch for Path of Exile 1 for the entire day, doing the full 17, 18-hour stream that I usually do from the moment that the League starts all the way until I end my stream normally. So come hang out for that. Get your drops. It's going to be a good time. And I'll be streaming, of course, for the next couple of weeks, Path of Exile 1. Righteous Fire.
Go ahead, Rabbit.
Yeah, because PoE 2 sucks now. I don't get that. I hold them both. Like I love both games. I can't like it's like watching like the 2 kids I love fight. I'm not gonna choose in between you 2 idiots. Like I don't care.
Agreed.
But you do have a favorite.
You just train both of them to professionally fight,
funny.
and then it gets more interesting.
I made a video talking about my favorite ARPGs of all time, and like none of these games came in came in the top 3. It was actually Slaughtermancer is like one of my favorites, but that's just because like that's just a game I really like. But like Yeah, it's just people got really angry I didn't put D2 on the list. Oh my god. Oh, there's so many people that are like, how dare you not put
Rabbit's
D2
fuming.
in your top 5?
He said, I think it's funny. He says so many people. It's just my 14,000 alt accounts.
It's like I didn't
I'm
grow up with
astroturfing.
D2.
I'm astroturfing opinions about D2 on the internet. That is like my main job. I'm not a content creator or a streamer. I have 14,000 Reddit accounts, just astroturfing opinions, positive opinions about Diablo 2. So to make it seem like it's a great game. I think it was my turn, right?
Yes.
Hello. I also, my name also starts with the D and has a number in it. So my number is 1 though. So go figure.
There it is.
I stream on twitch.tv every single day. I play PoE 2 and Diablo 2 and maybe other games in the future that have 2 in it, I guess. So yeah, hello. You can come anytime.
He's like Valve.
Oh, yeah.
He can't get past
You.
the number 2.
I've been up for about 21 hours already, so I'm a little bit. My plug today is not the best.
You did a big
Come
stream
hang out
today
in my
for
Twitch
this
stream.
too.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of streaming, my work schedule has shifted to where now I do my main job at night, so I've had my mornings free, and to give myself peace of mind because I was going stir crazy, I've got a stream schedule. I now stream Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific. Sometimes stream a little bit longer. I am only going to be streaming PoE 2. I will like for that 4-hour block, I'll be doing PoE 2, and right now I am doing a dark effigy build where I'm trying to get out over 10 dark effigies and just just as many as possible. We're spirit stacking with the 75 spirit unlimited totems build, and I'm gonna be trying to I want as many dark effigies as possible. So that's my build I'm currently streaming for the next week. So come
That's
hang
something
out.
I wanted to do this league, and I
super-
I kind of forgot.
I'm in the campaign
I'm
right
gonna
now. I
check-
can get 6 down, and it's super fun.
All right.
I'm having a
Oh,
blast.
perfect.
over it.
I'm
Guys, you guys
gonna
are late to the
I'm gonna check
party.
it out tomorrow.
I did this
I'm
in
gonna check it out
0.1 already, guys. Get out of
Well,
get out of the program.
I'm doing it on a shaman or an oracle right now, so at least I'm doing it on a druid. But yeah, it's been fun. Come watch me stream. But yeah, thanks for Dreadful for coming on. It's been an absolute blast. Next week we have Jorgen on to talk about Delve and more PoE 1 stuff. But yeah, cheers. Bye everybody.
Peace.
Bye.